disappointed in every one of you.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend you.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I kiss you on the mouth.
No, I'm not cool with that. Just, I'm sorry.
One more time.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I mean, I'm dealing with degenerate animals.
I'm disappointed in every one of you. Disappointed in every one of you.
All right, come on.
Honestly, I can't do it no more.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
Let me tell you why.
It's gonna be all right, Nicky. Go ahead, shoot.
He just killed a fucking man.
What are you going to do about it?
Yeah, because you got nothing. You don't got a thing. Yeah, because you got nothing. Lobito! Got nothing.
I want to get out. I want to get out of this rat hole. I want to get online. I need
BDA boxing.
All right. Welcome everybody to another BDA Boxing podcast, broadcasting to you live from the True North. It's a good friend, Mr. BDA, and I sure am glad. That's right, sure I'm glad that everybody could be on board for this one, fellas, in this episode. Fantastic one for you. Just a fantastic one for you, because we are doing a very own special BDA year-end review. It's a little different from all the other reviews out there, so stay tuned for this one. But before we get down to the fun, let's get the business out of the way, fellas. You know the drill. If you want to donate a couple of shekels our way, you're certainly welcome to do so via the Buy Me a Coffee app. Link in the description. Remember, we're no longer monetized, so you really help us out there. Don't forget, we also got a Patreon that you can subscribe to. You should subscribe to the Patreon for free. You don't need to donate or anything. You get videos for free. You get content for free over there. All you got to do is sign up and really boost our fancy. It tickles our fancy, to say the least. Yeah, that's about it. Don't forget to check out Spotify, iTunes, Spreaker at your leisure. And don't forget to hit the like, subscribe if you've yet to do so already. Spread that BDA gospel. All right, fellas. Speaking of the gospel and the apostles out there, shout out to the Can Man, Drunk Irishman, Skull Kid 25, Never Sobers, SSC in the house, Drunk Irishman, Knockout Ned, Kristen Mack, Apology Man. Shout out to the Apology Man right there. Knockout Ned, the Quags. There's only one Quags. Bad Brother G, Ernie Wiles, Hard Recoil. Shout out to Hard Recoil. Rapax Strong and Company 10-4 says Happy New Year to everyone. Yes, that's right. Happy New Year. It's coming up tomorrow. Shout out to Lalo Soto Gaming, Fighter Flight Boxing, Bray, and many more people to come, I'm sure. Fellas, thank you for joining us. Oh, I forgot to say, first of all, we're going to be opening up the phone lines rather soon as well. So stay tuned for that. Drexivan21, M.A.W. Shout out to him. And I want to give a shout out to, listen, we're nearing the end of the year. I don't know if we're going to be doing a show tomorrow. I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. You stay tuned for that. Check your notifications and all that stuff. A bunch of people have told us or asked, when are we doing, first of all, the year-end review, where you guys do the report cards, the year-end report cards. That's coming up. We just need to get, everyone's got different schedules right now, all the panelists. So we need to get on the same page. Once we do that, we should be able to do it either this week or the next week, the first week of January. So stay tuned for that. As for the boxing's most shocking moments of 2024, that's coming up next year because we got to work around a bunch of issues. One of those being the Top Rank does not allow you to use their footage. And, if we're going to review Beterbiev versus Bivol, and we're going to cover Fury versus Usyk or Shakur Stevenson, which I want to do a segment on him, you can't really use their footage. So it's taking a bit longer than anticipated because of that. But if you check out the Patreon, again, sign up there for free. I'm going to be doing a little bit of a review there as well. And here we're doing one as well. Although not as obviously we're not using as many images or whatever, but it's still our own very special review. So stay tuned for all of that. What was I going to say? So yeah, shout out to Bucho who's putting the Patreon link right there. And I want to give a shout out. Listen, again, I don't know if we're going to be doing a show tomorrow, but if we don't, and it's the end of the year, or it's 2025 the next time we go on the air, I want to thank all of you guys for being part of the BDA community. There's a difference between having subscribers and having followers. And you guys have shown that you enjoy what we do over here. It's a community. It's an interactive community because we got the chat right up there, projected on the screen, constantly reading comments, taking phone calls, talking with people on the Discord. I mean, it's a real community. So, this wouldn't be as fun without you guys. I would still be watching boxing, but I'd probably be less interested in it. It's like Jimmy said. Jimmy said that if it wasn't for this show, he wouldn't be watching as much boxing as he does because with all the BS that goes on and all that. But this is really fun, especially when there's drama involved. I mean, come on. You know me. I like it when people start going at it, and we're actually going to cover up some of the drama that's taking place on Twitter right now. But yes, shout out to all of you guys. You know who you are. And shout out to the Patreon members as well. The names are right there, scrolling by. You guys are the best. Really appreciate it. And hopefully you guys enjoy the content that we're putting for free on the Patreon. We just put out 2 videos on Teofimo Lopez. There's going to be one dropping tomorrow. And the idea of this free content on Patreon is some of them are transmissions, what I like to call BDA transmissions. So you can put them, they're like mini podcasts. You can listen to them while you're on the train, while you're working, whatever. So I'm going to start doing more of those in volume, and hopefully you guys are enjoying them. What else was I going to say about that? All right. So yeah, I don't know if anybody's going to jump on the panel here, but before they do, because we got a lot to get to, let me just start off with the year-end awards here, or year-end review. There's going to be a couple of awards being doled out as well. This ain't going to be your conventional year-end awards or year-end review. Everyone always does that. Well, who was the fighter of the year? Who was the ups? Who went with the upset of the year? I mean, go to Boxing Scene for that. Go to Boxing 24. And there's other podcasts as well who are doing that. I mean, I think it's a little bit overdone here. I usually go with ESPN's or Ring Magazine's year-end awards. To me, that's the definitive list. So what we're going to be doing is doing our own type of little review here about maybe a little bit more obscure things that went on in the year. Oh, speaking of drama, you can't really say much anymore, man. I think there's a couple of channels out there that have been demonetized, not just us. In fact, Black and Brown Boxing just got taken down, believe it or not. He's been around since the pandemic, so that's about 4 years. Somebody took him down. There's a couple of suspects out there that people let me know about on Twitter, on Discord. I don't know why they took him down. I'm a little trepidatious now about what I can say or what I can say. It seems like they take you down for whatever reason they want to nowadays. So go check out the new Black and Brown Boxing. He already put up a channel. He got back to it real quick. So go check it out. Go subscribe. Because we really do need more free smoke channels, as they call them, where they just open up the panel and anybody can go on. There's just not enough of those type of channels, and we got to support them. All right, fellas? So make sure to do that. All right, so I wanted to start off with a couple of things here about the year that we had. First of all, the interesting thing is Steve Kim just posted an article today, quite fortuitous that it was about activity. Every year-end, he looks at the top 10 pound-for-pound list, and he looks at those fighters who are usually the marquee fighters, and he ascertains how many times they fought this year. Well, the average was 2 fights. Now Inoue fought twice, Canelo fought twice, and so on and so forth. So we're down to 2 fights per year for some of the most prominent boxers in the sport, and that's not good. And that's one of the things I noticed in this list as I was compiling this list, that not a lot of activity from a lot of guys. But there were some dudes that fought quite often, more than enough. For example, Virgil Ortiz, the year he had. First of all, the revelation that he likes Hamburger Helper. Now, there's nothing wrong with Hamburger Helper, but he's Mexican. The fact that he was so intrigued by Hamburger Helper, which has a bunch of additives too. Anything that you buy in a box, fellas, it ain't really good for you. And then the other thing that came out was that he likes to eat more than Hamburger Helper. He likes to, what's the word? Well, I don't even know if I can say it anymore here on Twitter, but I mean on YouTube. But suffice to say, he enjoys the backside play, if you know what I mean. So that was some revelation. The other revelation is, it made me wonder how good is this guy? Because first of all, in terms of activity, he fought thrice. All right, that's once more than some of these dudes, some of these so-called marquee fighters in the game. But he fought 3 times. Now the first 2 ended in less than a round. So, and this was after he was almost out for 2 years, right? Almost out for 2 years. Comes back. Less than 2 rounds of activity when he stopped, I forget what the name of the first guy, real early in 2024. Then he knocked out Thomas Delorme with a body shot, and then he went to war with Bohashuk. And I can't help but wonder if he would have handled Bohashuk a little easier had he been more active. Now, Bohashuk, of course, is not going to be easy work for anybody, as we just saw on the Fury-Usyk rematch undercard. He's a very tenacious fighter, very willing, got a lot of stamina. He does hit hard. Very difficult to fight a guy like that. And the thing that came out with Bohashuk is he started saying after the fight, it's like, oh, I wasn't hurt. He never hurt me. Well, I just rewatched that fight not that long ago. He did get hurt twice. He got wobbled, at least twice. But the point about Ortiz is whether there's extenuous circumstances about which might explain why he's struggling against Bohashuk. The point is, he's in a different division now, 154, and this top guy, 154 is loaded with fighters. So the way he started out the year, knocking out guys in less than a round, I don't think we're going to be seeing that same Virgil Ortiz. At least, like I said, at least not against the top competition. He does have a heck of a jab. He does, even when he was tired in the middle rounds, he kept on throwing. He found his second win. So he showed something this year. And this is something that I really want to see about Virgil Ortiz. And something that we want to see about punchers overall is, okay, you can knock out a guy in less than a round. Now what happens if he takes your shots? What happens if he takes your shots and he starts giving them back? He starts returning fire. What then? And not for nothing, but he showed some gumption. One thing that does worry me about Ortiz going into 2025 is a little bit of arrogance, a little bit over-arrogant. Remember when people were questioning why he dropped out of the Stanionis fight, and some reporter, I forget who he was, dared to question him. And then when they did the press conference, which they did online, by the way, via Zoom, Ortiz refused to talk to that reporter. And I'm thinking, really? That's the relationship you're going to have with reporters now? Remember, it's a two-way line of communication. If the reporters don't cover you in a niche sport like boxing, you need as much press as you can get. And yeah, not all press is going to be positive, but you still need, some reporters are going to be negatively critical of you. That comes with the territory. If you're doing something that warrants that criticism, you got to take it. You punch people for a living. You can't go around living with thin skin. So that's something that worries me about Ortiz in 2025. Is he a little bit too arrogant to see his mistakes, either outside the ring or inside the ring? So that's one thing that remains to be seen about Ortiz coming in 2023. He had a good year. 3-0. And he got himself a good win against Bohashuk, which does appear to be aging well, and will probably continue to age well. So we'll see what happens there. The other guy is Artur Beterbiev. He fought twice this year. Certainly appears to be a contender for Fighter of the Year, because at the beginning he fought Callum Smith, who's no slouch, and looked downright invincible, dispatching of Callum Smith. And then, of course, in October, he ended up fighting Bivol for all the marbles. This was a this was a match between titans. A guy who stops everybody and Bivol who outboxes everybody. Who were you going to go with? And it was one of the most anticipated fights of 2024. And Beterbiev's, maybe a little bit of controversial decision. because not everybody agreed on who deserved it or whether the right guy won. Doing it again in February, so we'll see what happens there. So that was the year that that's the other thing, though. It's impressive that Beterbiev fought twice this year. Because in 2021, he only fought once. 2022, he only fought once. 2023, he only fought once. And then finally today, must have been like a marathon for him, like a nonstop line of industry for him to be able to fight that many times. So that's my little thing there about Beterbiev. I don't know if he's going to get fighter of the year, though, because a lot of people are going with Usyk by virtue of the fact that he defeated Tyson Fury twice. Whereas Beterbiev's victory over Bivol, it's a little bit controversial, a little bit contentious, for lack of a better term. Now, the other guy that impressed me this year was Galil Yafi, gold medalist, ended up taking out this dude, Sonny Edwards. And Yafi, really, I didn't know what to make of him. He hadn't really fought this fantastic of a position, less than 10 fights. And you're thinking, all right, is he going to be able to take out Sonny Edwards, who happens to be one of Bam Rodriguez's best wins from last year, 2023. And man, Yafi really impressed, beating the crap out of Sonny Edwards. I mean, he put on so much pressure in the first round that by the second, Sonny Edwards had already figured out in his head, you know what, let me say that I'm not in this. So that I take away a little bit of credit away from him. That's what Yafi thinks. Yafi thinks that, hey, maybe Sonny later takes on Sonny Edwards. So that was a pretty good year for him. 3 times. He's in the 3-time club, which is a bit of an exclusive club nowadays. Are we, what's going on here? Refresh your stream, fellas. Refresh your stream if it ain't working. Yeah, man. I mean, I don't know what was going on there with the lag here. No, hold on a second. Let me read a couple of comments while I do that. Don Chile says, boxers are soft. Ms. Dionysian says, me so Dionysian says, Virgil is emotionally fragile. It seems to me that there's something about that. Yeah, there's something to that. I do think Virgil Ortiz, I don't know, maybe it's because he was a high-level amateur. He's always been a bit of a celebrity over there where he lives, in California or whatever. And he's always been a hotshot prospect. So I think they've been lathering his ass. And by virtue of that, he's not used to criticism. He's been so dominant that all of a sudden, now that things don't go his way slightly, just slightly, he can't handle the criticism. Alejandro Marquez says, you can't be soft and eat ass. Oh, that's true. That's true. I mean, if you're going to eat ass, you got to take a risk. So MLO860 says, Tuna Helper. I like the sound of that. King Butcher says, next year we need to get big fights for Ennis, Ortiz, Benavides, Tank, Shakur, Tio. Absolutely. I mean, listen, Canelo, well, we're going to get to that. And by the way, yeah, we're going to be doing the year-end review. I mean, report cards, the yearly report cards within the next week. So stay tuned for that. Then we're going to go more in depth into some of the big names out there. But yeah, I wanted to give Keyshawn Davis the PR review, the public relations year-end review, because he really, I mean, only Top Rank could have done something the way they did with Keyshawn Davis. It wasn't that long ago that Keyshawn Davis, I think it was last year, he struggled a little bit against Albright, who's a good fringe contender at 135. And he got stunned at the end of that fight, and then it was turned into a no-contest because I think Keyshawn Davis tested positive for marijuana, if I remember correctly. I mean, just look at him. Does he look like the type of guy that smokes marijuana? I don't think so. But be that as it may, that's how his year ended. And this year, compared to 2023, now all of a sudden, he's up in everyone's top 10 list. And he's also on the top of a lot of people's list of fighters that they'd love to see take on Tang Davis. So how did he accomplish this? And how did Top Rank, who didn't have the greatest of years, by the way, I'm going to get to that later, how did he accomplish this? Well, he's also in the 3-time club. He fought 3 times this past year. he took on, it all started in February when he took on Jose Pedraza, who's the top rank. They just throw him in there against anybody nowadays. Took on Jose Pedraza, ended up stopping him in the 6th round. I didn't know what to make of that win because, like I said, Jose Pedraza is sort of shop worn now, but it was still a good win. Then he went 10 rounds against Miguel Madueno, really slapped that dude around. Tough guy, Madueno, that's really all. It was a bit of a difficult fight in certain spots, but for the most part, it was dominance from Keyshawn Davis. And then really what captivated and thrilled people was the destroying Lemos in under 2 rounds this past November. And it was significant. He could handle at 140. Again, hold on a second. All right, stay tuned. I'm going to try to see if I can fix this connection thing because it's going all over the place. 5 minutes. Let me write in the chat here. And it was really a disappointing year from Top Rank, but it all makes sense now. Some of the stuff that's coming out now about Top Rank and why their relationship with ESPN, really bad. Really bad. And I don't know, now that they're going to be leaving to the zone, that's what gives a lot of people hope about 2025. Because ESPN, I mean, listen, ESPN has a humongous budget, but they kept boxing on the back burner. And how is a sport supposed to thrive or be successful if it's being considered a second-rate sport? The red-headed sports child of the sports world. I mean, it's disgusting. But by the way, we're back. I think we're back, so make sure to refresh. Refresh. There you go. So just to recap what I was saying, we're doing the unconventional awards here, just a bit of a year-end review. And I'm not focusing on the fighter of the year, fight of the year. I mean, those you can go read that on Ring Magazine or on other shows. So Keyshawn Davis, what I was talking about is Keyshawn Davis. They really Top Rank. Say what you want about them, but they know how to manufacture or build a fighter. I guess manufacture is not the right word because it sounds like there's a certain sense of falsehood to the fighter, right? Like they're fake or they're not really what they are. Keyshawn Davis, again, I'm not sure exactly what he is just quite yet. We're in the age now where these prospects are no longer fighting 5 times a year early in their career the way they used to. Like I said, he fought 3 times this year, which is more than some of these other guys, but it's still not a lot for a guy who's got under 20 fights. So who knows what type of development he's going to have or whether he's actually going to be able to reach his potential. But the point is that this year was a good year for Keyshawn Davis. Very good matchmaking. They put him, he got 2 stoppages over competent opponents. And now he looks so good that now people are saying he could beat Tang Davis, Devin Haney, even though Haney's not a lightweight anymore, but you get the point. He could beat, he's not going to fight Shakur Stevenson because they're bros. They're brothers. I ain't going to fight my brother. But that's what it is, man. So Keyshawn Davis, I mean, again, this shows why Top Rank might still be the best when it comes to creating and nurturing prospects because they really know what they're doing there. So that's it with Keyshawn Davis, who again fought 3 times this year. Another guy that fought 3 times, what I call the 3-time club here, he gets a 3-time award, is Hamza Shiraz. Alhamdulillah. This dude fought 3 times as well. He fought the always dangerous Liam Williams early in the year. Liam Williams, you might remember, is a big puncher who gave Demitrius Android all he could handle back in 2021, I want to say. I think it was 2021. And he also fought Liam Smith about twice, I believe. Those were 2 very hard fights, difficult fights. So the fact that Shiraz just came along and just wiped the floor with him in under a round, really impressive. But then again, you know me. If a prospect scores a bunch of first-round stoppages, I go, okay, but what else does he have? Can he go 12 rounds? Can he take a punch? Well, he was part of the 5 versus 5 card, the Frank Warren versus Eddie Hearn card back in June. He fought another undefeated guy in Austin Williams, a fellow undefeated guy, I should say. And Austin Amo Williams came in there, southpaw, didn't know how to lose. So it was going to be a very interesting matchup. It was one of my most anticipated fights in that card, which is still one of the best of the year of 2024. And Hamza Shiraz, he got hurt, I think, twice in that fight. I remember he got wobbled early. Other than that, his punches were crisp, straight, a variety of shots he can crack with both the left and the right. And he ended up stopping Austin Amo Williams in the 11th round. And then not that long afterwards, in September, he took on Tyler Denny, who's the guy that beat Felix Cash, I think, right? Felix Cash is the guy that was out for a long time, I believe. What the fuck, Frodo? Felix Cash. Yeah, that was him. That's the guy thing. So he takes on a guy who's used to taking undefeated records away. And Shiraz went in there, and like I said, easy. TKO round 2. So Shiraz now, one of the top middleweights. He's going to be fighting Carlos Adames next year. I don't know how that one goes, but he had a good year. He had a very good year. So we give him the 3-time a Fight Year award and also one of the top names to look out for in 2025. Another guy that fought 3 times, he gets that the designation or badge of fighting 3 times this year was O'Shaquie Foster. Kind of a weird year for O'Shaquie Foster. Could also be giving the up and down badge that I'm going to be giving to some other guys out there. O'Shaquie Foster started the year by fighting the always tough Abraham Nova on ESPN, of course. And I think that was the first fight he had, right, with Top Rank, if I'm not mistaken. He ended up outboxing Nova, which is what we expect from O'Shaquie Foster. Nothing too exciting, but that's what we come to expect of him. Then he took on Robson Conceição, who seemingly has fought everybody at 130. And it was an uneventful fight. Conceição just simply let his hands go. Didn't always land flush, but he was always touching the target. And the judges went with Conceição. That became a huge controversy. People were crying for O'Shaquie Foster. Ooh, poor him. I wasn't too worried about him because he got an immediate rematch on ESPN, so that means he got paid for it. And the fight pretty much went like the first one, except this time I thought Conceição did pull it off. And this time, I don't know, maybe the judges wanted to make it up to O'Shaquie Foster, or maybe the system wanted to. Either way, O'Shaquie Foster got the win. So he's got he fought 3 times. He went 2-1. I guess you could say he could have easily gone 1-2, but be that as it may, fortune smiled upon him. And that's the year he had. Old O'Shaquie Foster. And now maybe next year he gets himself a Navarrete fight. You just never know. And if he doesn't get that fight, you got to wonder what other big fight is out there for him. But he's in a prime position. He's in a prime position to get something done. So we'll see what happens in 2025 for him. Another guy that receives the designation of fighting 3 times this year, that 3-time badge, is Raymond Ford. Raymond Ford started off the year as an undefeated up-and-comer, fought on ESPN against Kolmatov, a battle of undefeated southpaws. It was a back-and-forth affair. I thought Ford was losing that, but he ended up winning just barely. Pulled it off by the skin of his teeth and ended up pulling a stoppage with the seconds left in the 12th round. So he showed that he was must-see TV. He goes up on the 5 versus 5 card earlier this June, and he lost to a fellow undefeated top featherweight in Nick Ball. I don't know. I don't know if Ball really deserved that win. It was very, very close. And Raymond Ford showed you that he's not a runner. He's not gonna. Any other fighter with his gifts would have moved around the ring, one punch shot here, running for 30 seconds, pot shot there, clinching, shaking his ass. Not Raymond Ford. He stood there. He planted his feet at times, digging to Nick Ball's body. Just couldn't put a dent on Nick Ball, but it was a very close fight. I don't know. I thought he could have gone to Raymond Ford as well. And be that as it may, he ended up getting his first loss. But then he made a good move. It might actually have been fortune smiling on him to hand him that loss because it forced him to move to 130. And then he took on the Puerto Rican Orlando Gonzalez, sort of a fringe contender too. And he dropped him a bunch of times, couldn't put him out, but he really did dominate Gonzalez. So I don't know. Again, might have been the weight, no longer boiling himself to 126. Maybe that helped him look good against Gonzalez. But he had a good year despite the fact that he lost. And so that's another guy who's part of the 3-time club who fought 3 times this year. Now I want to move on to a guy. By the way, before I do that, don't forget to hit the likes, fellas. Hit the like, hit the like, hit the like. We're doing the special BDA unconventional year-end review here. Not your usual year-end review where we talk about, fight of the year. That's other people are doing that. So if you're interested in that type of stuff, go check that out. But here we're doing it differently here. And so don't forget to hit the like. And I'm going to be putting up the phone lines real soon. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Rafael Garza says, Raymond Ford doesn't know ass, the American slick style. That's right. He doesn't fight with the ass style. In fact, I said this before the Nick Ball fight. I said if he would have fought in the ass style, it would have been worse for him against Nick Ball, because Nick Ball is a guy that enjoys it when his opponents back up. In other words, when you fight a guy like Nick Ball, you got to stand your ground and find some, no pun intended, but you got to fight with some balls. And you can't always run around the ring, because if the judges aren't with you, and if the judge isn't in your pocket, you're not going to get that win. It's not always a guarantee. James Burrell says, where is Clarissa's 3-time award, you racist sexist hater? Well, I don't really cover women's boxing, so I'm out of the loop on that one. I didn't know she fought 3 times this year. If you ask me, she fought 3 times, too many. Sargent says, Anthony Olascuga winning a title, less than 10 fights, and KO Bomba Rodriguez. Oh, yeah, that's true, huh? I thought that fight was a no contest. Anthony, maybe I'm talking about a different guy. Let me check it out. Anthony Oscaluga. Miso Dionysian says, Ball is my favorite manlet. Yeah, he's 5'3", right? Or something like that. Oh, yeah, this dude defeated Bomba Gonzalez. When was that? That seemed to have flown under my radar. Jonathan Gonzalez defeating Jonathan Bomba Gonzalez. October, huh? Can't believe that flew under my radar. I'm going to try to watch the fight while I do the show. But Chet Collins says, go to ring IQ. He loves that crap. Sargent says, nah, it got overturned. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I thought that fight got overturned. Even though Wikipedia doesn't have that. They're saying that it's maybe BoxRec who's got a more complete list. They still have that as a win. I don't know what's going on, guys. We're going to have to check that out later on. Let me read a couple more comments. Hawker Mustang says, WBO Gold Cruiserweight Paul Bamba for 4 teams ties this year. Died a couple of days after he won the WBC Gold title. What the fuck's a gold title? Skull Kid says, Tank beats him with rehydration clauses. I don't know who he's referring to. MWO says, Keyshawn versus Tank would be noise. Well, I don't even know. I don't ever expect that fight to happen. When you got 2 undefeated Americans, especially one who's particularly averse to fighting top opposition, I don't think it's ever going to happen. I hope I'm wrong, by the way. Hurricane Hank says, a lot of these fighters are smoke and mirrors. Yeah, that's true, man. A lot of these guys, but I mean, I'm giving you the less known list of BDA year-end review here. So that's what I'm saying. Oh, by the way, another guy that not quite year-end Fighter of the Year award, because he just didn't fight enough quality opposition, but a guy who had a very good year and who is also part of that 3-time club this year was Angelo Leo. I mean, think about where he was in 2021. He was an undefeated fighter. He had a little bit of momentum going. Fight Stephen Fulton. That's all she wrote, right? He keeps on trucking, keeps on fighting. This year, he fought 3 times. And he fought Mike Plania in January. Then he took on Eduardo Baez, El Cuete Baez, on April. And you got to keep something in mind, fellas. And we're going to get to Pro Box later. But he fought twice on Pro Box, which is considered the bargain DVD bin of boxing compared to DAZN, compared to ESPN, even Amazon to a certain extent, right? Although I don't know where that's going to go in 2025. But I forgot to mention Sky Sports, TNT, whatever. So he fought twice there. He had to rebuild his career. When you're fighting on Pro Box, you ain't getting $1 million you ain't getting $1 million payday. You're not getting the big bucks. But it's a platform that's delivered to the fans. It's available on the internet for free. You get a lot of hardcore boxing fans watching it, and it keeps you active, which is a big problem as we're seeing here, as we've seen this year with this boxer. So Angelo Leo stayed active, took on Mike Plania and Eduardo Baez, stayed active, beat those guys, and then it helped him get an opportunity over at ESPN. So you see, you stay active, you fight in some nondescript networks, and then you get one high-profile fight. And he made the best of it when he took on Alberto El Vaquero Lopez on August. One of the upsets of the years, and also one of the knockout contenders of the year. That's what Leo was able to pull off, and I dare say also a candidate for contender of the year. So he checks out 3 boxes there that he's well nominated for. And when you have those type of accolades going or those type of nominations, that means you had a very good year indeed. So shout out to Angelo Leo, who had a very good year. And I think some people might be overlooking that. And again, I'm just giving you a review because when I was reviewing this year and noting down some of the stuff that people have forgotten, I said, yeah, man, there's a lot of stuff that happened this year that we've forgotten about. And a lot of stuff that you can't really put on the box's most shocking moments of 2024 because they're just not that, for lack of a better word, epic, big time, marquee, but still quite significant. Another guy who fought 3 times, and I guess we give him the Southpaw Award because this dude, he fought nothing but Southpaws. And we're talking about William El Camarón Cepeda, took on 3 Southpaws this year. So he gets the 3-time badge award, and he gets that 3-time Southpaw award because people usually hate fighting Southpaws. 1 Southpaw. 1 Southpaw is bad enough. 2 Southpaws. 3 Southpaws. And if you think about it, he fought Mercito Gesta last year. That was another Southpaw. And I forget which year it was when he fought Jojo Diaz, but that was another Southpaw. So this guy's he's got 5 Southpaws on his docket, and I understand why, because the rumor is, and the plan is for him to fight Shakur Stevenson in 2025. So at this point, he's fought enough Southpaws. It's make or break time. No more preparation, no more tune-ups. He's got to fight Shakur Stevenson. A lot of people were high on William Cepeda, and why wouldn't you be? Cepeda is an entertaining fighter. Come forward. He's a bit of a weird guy because he's a volume puncher who manages to stop guys, lesser level guys, in less than 5 rounds. Usually, volume punchers, it takes them a while to tenderize and dispose of their opponents. But this guy evidently is heavy-handed too, on top of being a volume puncher. So he's got the double whammy thing going on for him, the double threat. But this year, it was a bit of a revelation for him because he had it easy last year. Barely anybody could stand up to his pressure. And this year, it started off looking like, yeah, nobody was going to be able to stand up to it. Maxi Hughes, who'd actually beaten George Kambosos, he just didn't get the decision. He takes on Maxi Hughes in what could have been a complicated fight, and it wasn't. Cepeda stopped him in less than 4 rounds. Then he takes on Giovanni El Cabron Cabrera, who gave Isaac Pitbull Cruz all he could handle back in 2023. Again, Cepeda has no trouble with that guy. Well, no, actually, he did have about a round and a half of trouble, and then he just put him away with one. He just turned it up on the 3rd round, and that was all she wrote. But then he stepped up against Tevin Farmer, and that was a little bit more complicated. Farmer, he got his share of shots. Believe it or not, I don't think people understand how tough Farmer had to be to go 10 rounds against Cepeda. This list that I have, by the way, from Wikipedia, they have it as a split decision, 12-round decision. It wasn't 12 rounds, it was 10 rounds. So you never know what would have happened had it gone 12. Be that as it may, Cepeda, he really put a bit of a beating on Farmer. I don't think people realize that, but he was also way too open for left hands. He got dropped against a guy who can crack or who isn't known to crack. So that made a lot of people, myself included, rethink, okay, how good is Cepeda, and were some of the wins that he was notching over at Golden Boy and over at the Zone, did that create sort of like a smoke and mirrors hallucination or just like a mirage? I don't know. So that was William Cepeda, who returned this year with 3 wins, and possibly next year gets another 3 fights against top opposition. Again, they're saying he might be fighting Shakur Stevenson. Rafael Garza says, BDA practices machismo. No female boxing for the art of machismo. It's not necessarily that machismo, it's just I can't get into it. I don't know I can't articulate it. I'd have to take out the time to really think about it and be introspective and be able to explain to people why I dislike it. But I just don't like it. The number one thing is the power. A lot of these gals, they just don't crack. It looks like they can sometimes because they do, but then they get, I don't know, it's like watching kids fight. I can do that. I already do that in the amateurs. I watch a lot of amateur boxing, so I only have so much time in my day. And I'm not terribly motivated to watch female boxing. Shout out to Official Scorecard Boxing. He says, sorry I'm late. I was looking for my tuxedo for this special episode. Well, I'm nude right now, so shout out to you for wearing a tuxedo. You're doing it differently than I am. Rafael Gaza says BDA judges female boxing for their beauty, not for their fighting skill. I mean, some of these gals, most of these gals aren't really all that beautiful. So, James Burrell says Farmer is tough. The guy can see everything. I don't know if that's a joke because of his crooked eyes. Man, come on, man. What's the matter? You know, I don't know. These guys here in the chat, it's a new year, right? It's going to be a new year. I think one of the New Year resolutions you guys need is to be less mean. You guys are too mean out there. Too vicious to some of these boxers. I'm going to be a nice guy. How about that? I'm going to be the nicest guy on YouTube in 2025. No more making fun of people. No more making fun of fighters. It's going to be the BDA Nice Guy show. If we don't have anything nice to say, we won't say anything at all. That's right. All right, now listen. Well, let's keep going on with this list here real quick because I want to see if anybody calls in or if anybody jumps on the panel. Because again, this is my year-end review. Just some of the interesting stuff that caught my attention this year, especially as I was reviewing it today. I said, "Oh, I forgot that happened." Let's all go on to the PBC Momentum Killer Plan. Who was on the PBC Momentum Killer Plan? Remember last year, or in the last couple of years, I used to call it the PBC Platinum Plan, which means if you fought more than twice with the PBC, that means you were really liked by the PBC. This year, they only had 5 cards. Out of 12 months, they only had 5 cards. Remember, they said they were going to have 14. I don't know where the rest of the 9 cards went. I guess I missed them. But let's go with the PBC Momentum Killer Plan. And that one, we start off with Sebastian Fundora. Sebastian Fundora was supposed to fight... Who was he supposed to fight? He was supposed to fight Bohashov, right? I forget who he was supposed to fight now that I mentioned it. Some Ukrainian guy, I think. Be that as it may, Tim Tszyu was supposed to fight Keith Thurman, believe it or not. That's another thing that we forgot about, that this year we were supposed to have seen Keith Thurman, who also disappeared. No more fights for him in 2024. So Sebastian Fundora stepped in to fight Tim Tszyu. Tim Tszyu, again, supposed to fight Keith Thurman. So he was supposed to fight a guy who's about 5 feet 8 inches tall, conventional fighter, orthodox. All of a sudden, they throw him in there with a southpaw who's 6 feet 5 inches tall. And Tszyu was doing well for the first 4 rounds. A headbutt happened, blinded him for the rest of the fight. And it was a close decision, loss for Tim Tszyu. But it was a big win for Sebastian Fundora against a guy who was undefeated, had a lot of momentum from the past 2 years. And boy, oh boy, you see the difference between Tim Tszyu, who's got competent matchmakers, or at least he had competent matchmakers the past 2 years, and a guy like Fundora, who's part of a dying outfit. So all the momentum that he should have been able to capitalize on after beating Tim Tszyu went nowhere. He didn't fight the rest of the year. So he fought in March. 9 months later, nothing. We don't even, there were rumblings that he was going to fight Errol Spence. We're going to get to him later. But that's it. And I'm thinking, how can you be a fighter like Fundora, who's in his mid-20s? He has the world ahead of him. How must he feel that he's part of an outfit that can get him more than 1 fight a year? Especially in a year where he should have built momentum. That is bizarre. That is unconscionable. And it's unconstitutional, if you ask me. Another guy who's part of the PBC Momentum Killer Plan is Caleb Plant, who planted his flag as far back as 2019 when he took his first title against Jose Uzcategui. Well, his first and only title, I believe. Again, undefeated, flashy, got himself a Canelo Alvarez fight not that long after in 2021. Did well for himself against Canelo Alvarez, even though he lost by stoppage. And you would have thought, okay, this guy, people know him. He's always getting into slap fest outside the ring. He doesn't take guff from anybody. He's a guy that you could market. People know him. He's a good, solid addition to undercards. Well, he only fought once in 2022, once in 2023 when he fought Benavides, and he only fought once this year against Macombi, a.k.a. MAGA Hat guy, or MAGA Hat mustache guy. And that's it. Again, another dude that's, this dude, what is he, late 20s, early 30s? How must he feel to be watching everyone else doing stuff, fighting with the Sheik in those mega cards, getting paid big bucks to fight at least twice a year, and he's only fought once since, in the past 4 years, he's only fought once per year. He's wasting his career away, or they're wasting his career away. So he's part of the PBC Momentum Killer Plan. A guy who just recently returned on the scene giving interviews, Demitrius Android. For a long time, we had to hear about this dude, how people were avoiding him. The most avoided guy in boxing, the boogeyman, the Pernell Whitaker of the middleweight division. Well, I don't remember Pernell Whitaker struggling with Zulensky. I mean, not Zulensky type, but Jack Colkay, Liam Williams. Who was the other guy that gave him a very tough fight? Demond Nicholson. And that's what we saw with Demitrius Android. But for some reason, people kept pushing him because boxing fans, there's some boxing fans out there that they want to hang on and cling to a fighter and claim that he's underrated, claim he's the boogeyman, so that when he makes big things happen in boxing, they can go back and say, see, I was with him from the beginning. Well, that never happened with Demitrius Android because, again, he struggled against the best opposition he fought. He stepped up against Benavides, and he did well for about 3 rounds or 3 rounds and a half. Then he took 2.5 rounds of a beating, and he ended up quitting. Now, I remember a caller called in and told me, well, the same day or the day after, you don't know if he quit, if he was hurt, you don't know what he's feeling, blah, blah, blah. Well, subsequently, we never heard anything about him. He didn't have a broken hand, he didn't have a broken nose, he didn't have a broken orbital. He just quit because, well, he just wasn't up for it, apparently. That's the guy that was an ex-Pernell Whitaker for some people, in some people's eyes. This is the guy that Paulie Malignaggi said would have been your favorite fighters, talking about Canelo and Golovkin and the Charlos. I don't know. A guy who takes that. I mean, Caleb Plant went 12 rounds against David Benavides. He took his beating like a man, never quit, didn't seem like he ever thought about quitting. Same thing with that Romanian guy. I can't believe I'm forgetting his name. The guy that fought Benavides twice. Actually took a bit of a beating too in the second fight, in the rematch, and he didn't go anywhere. But for some gosh darn reason, Demitrius Android just couldn't handle it. And so he gets the Did Anyone Miss Him award. Because, again, he's part with the PBC, and we didn't see anything of Demitrius Android in 2024. I mean, he just recently started doing interviews again, trying to get people riled up for his comeback, which, again, I don't think anyone missed him in 2024, so can't imagine who'd be looking forward to watching him in 2025. Hold on a second. Don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit the like, hit the like, hit the like, hit the like. I'm going to be opening up the phone lines real soon, so stay tuned for that. And like I said, don't forget to hit the like, hit the like, hit the like, hit the like. And if you want to donate a couple of shekels our way via the Buy Me a Coffee app, you're more than welcome to do so. We no longer have Super Chat, so that really helps us out right there. Let's go to the other guy. The only fought once this year award, also a bit of a momentum killer, Tang Davis. The so-called face of boxing, according to some fans. Tang Davis was incarcerated for violating parole or probation or terms of court, whatever that was, from 2023. Ended up going to jail, stayed there, came out. 2024 was supposed to be his big comeback year. He fought once against Frank Martin. That fight didn't even do 300,000 pay-per-view buys. At least I don't think it did, because nobody, neither the PBC nor Amazon nor anybody officially from that outfit ever gave us the official numbers. So we can only wonder how much that would have been, how much that actually did. But yeah, that was Tang Davis right there. The face of boxing couldn't even do 300,000 pay-per-view buys on a platform in which they need to provide their own money. The PBC is putting up all the money for Amazon, or at least most of it, from some reports. Only 5 cards is your total for the PBC, so I don't understand how the face of boxing can thrive in a dying environment. So that was weird for Tang Davis. It's a weird year for the so-called face of boxing. David Benavides, the monster, El Monstruo, the Mexican monster. He's always changing his nickname, so you never know what it's going to be next year. Maybe next year is going to be the Monster Mash. I don't know. But he only fought once this year as well. Took on Alexander Gvozdyk, a guy who'd only fought 2 tune-ups in the past 3 years and hadn't fought anyone in the top 10 in the light heavyweight division in years since getting blasted away by Betv in 2019. He gave Benavides all he could handle. Benavides got off to a fast start, throwing a lot of combos, body shots. Gvozdyk just took him, was never consistently backed up, and Benavides just couldn't put a dent on a real light heavyweight. Subsequently, Benavides came out and said that he was hurt prior to the fight. A bunch of ouchies that he had. He had a wrist injury. I think he had maybe an ankle thing or something. I don't know. Maybe perhaps even a cracked taint. I don't know. But he claimed he was hurt, and that's why he couldn't look good against Zvosik. Although other people said, some people, there were some rumblings on the internet of people saying, interesting that this was his first fight at heavyweight, and all of a sudden he doesn't look tremendous. Other people said, he didn't have Memo Heredia in his corner, and all of a sudden he failed to look spectacular as well. So who knows? But he only fought once in June. And that was it. That was all the fights he had that year. So he only fought... the last year was good. He fought Caleb Plant and Android. 2022 was quite horrible because he only fought David Lemieux, I think. 2021... Who did he fight in 2021? Kyron Davis, I think. And I think during the pandemic, he also only fought once. So yeah, that's another dude that I don't know why he keeps re-signing and aligning himself with the PBC, especially that Argentinian guy. I can't believe I'm forgetting the names. By the way, hold on. I think I'm getting messages here on Discord. Yeah, I think people are willing to jump on. Yeah, I need a panelist here to continue on. Real quick, hold on a second. Give me 2 seconds. I'm going to invite some people here. Who do we got? Wait, where's my usual panelist list here? You know, I'm looking through this list and I see people sending me weird pics. I don't know what's going on, man. People send me this information from all over the place. I'm seeing a little bit of drama here. People are sending me. All right, hold on a second. Give me 2 seconds. I'm just going to get a panel together here. I don't know if Recognize can jump on, but I'm going to invite him anyway. Who else was here? Give me 2 seconds, fellas. Give me 2 seconds here. I don't know why it's taking me so long here. I think I also got 2 different Gonzalos going on in my list here. But yeah, so like I was saying, it's weird that the year that some of these dudes have at the PBC, really bad years, subpar years. That's why I call it the Momentum Killer Award. It's not really fantastic years, some of these guys. So, I don't know, man. It's being with the PBC. I guess if you want to fight once a year and really kill your momentum while you're in your prime, sign with the PBC. That's the way I look at it. Another guy who's part of the Fight Once a Year club, he gets the once a year badge. One time was Brandon Figaroa, the king of the boxing twinks. That used to go to Ryan Garcia, but now he's all tatted up, so I don't know if that counts as a twink. But Brandon Figueroa, another guy that only fought once this year. He fought back in May. So you're starting to see a bit of a pattern here. A lot of these dudes, they fought in May, March, and that's it. The rest of the year, the PBC couldn't get him anything. And yet people still want to say that the PBC isn't dying. I don't know. I think these people are living in La La Land or want to live in La La Land. Another guy who's part of the once a year club, Stephen Fulton. And this one is particularly sad because this is a guy who wants to fight the best. And he was fighting some of the best. In 2021, he fought 3 times, I believe. He took on Angelo Leo, who was undefeated. He took on Brandon Figueroa, who's undefeated. And who else did he fight that year? I think he fought 3 times that year, if I remember correctly. Let me just check. No, he only fought... Okay, no. Yeah, so in 2021, he only fought twice. But I mean, come on. 2 undefeated pressure fighters. And then the next year, he fights Daniel Roman. Again, by 2022, Showtime was really in dire straits. That's where, if you weren't part of the PBC Platinum plan, you only got 1 fight. And then he stepped up against Naoya Inoue. Again, he fought the best. And he ended up getting stopped. And ever since then, only 1 fight this year, where he looked horrible against Carlos Castro. And now next year, he's rematching Brandon Figueroa, which is the fight that the PBC wanted for him all along. And so, yeah, man, I mean, Jimmy was saying that Stephen Fulton is being punished by the PBC because I don't know if you guys remember that the story was that he was going to fight, the PBC wanted him to fight Figueroa. Again, a rematch, keep it all in-house. And Fulton was like, well, wait a minute, I got the Inoue fight on the table. They're making me an offer. It's for way more money than the Figueroa fight. I want to fight that dude. And apparently the PBC didn't want to. He pressed them. That's why he said The PBC allowed me to fight him. That's what he said in one of the interviews. I'm paraphrasing here, but he said something along those lines. And that's what happened with Stephen Fulton. And it's sad to see a guy who wants to fight the best. He's not a runner, by the way. He can run if he wants to, but he showed against Brandon Figaroa and against Angelo Leo that he can also fight on the inside. So it's kind of sad to see a guy who, for lack of a better term, wants all that smoke, and instead he's got to relegate himself to having smoke blown up his ass about how great his 2021 year was, 3 years ago. So hopefully 2025 is better for that guy. And hopefully if his contract ends or if he can somehow end his union with the PBC or Al Heyman or whoever's in charge now, hopefully he can go on over to a competent promotional outfit and really get the best out of his career. I want to move on to the DB Cooper Award. The fighters that disappeared in 2024. And it goes to Jermall and Jermell Charlo. Now, when, like in the Grammys, for example, Milli Vanilli, I think they counted them as one outfit, right? One band. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go down the Milli Vanilli route, and we're going to count the Charlos as one entity, all right? One company. So we got Jermell and Jermall Charlo. Nothing happened for them in 2024. Nothing. Jermall, we know, was having trouble, legal troubles. Some people are saying he's going nuts. Then Jermell also got in legal trouble in 2023. I think he beat up a tranny or something. I forget. I don't know what the rumors were. And that's it. 2024, both guys fought once last year. Better than nothing, right? And what happened in 2024? I tell you what happened. Nothing. So I don't know what happened with those guys. But I think they could have also been nominated for that Did Anyone Miss Him award. Because like Demitrius Android, did anyone really miss him? I remember some people throughout the year going, hey, what happened to the Charlos? Or, especially when we were talking about the 154-pound division, about how loaded it was. I think people also ended up going, well, what happened with the Charlos? Oh, yeah, isn't Charlos still the champion? That's what we were asking. And I think ever since then, I think he's been, I think they stripped the lineal title away from him. Although I suspect some of his fans, the few fans they got left, if Jermell returns, Jermell returns. If Jermell returns, they're probably going to say, no, he's still the lineal champ. He's a real champ. I mean, I'm sorry, man. If you stay idle for a year and you don't see, or more than a year, and there's no signs that you're returning, you got to get that title stripped. Lineal doesn't mean it lasts forever. And I think that's what we got with the Charlos here. And it's a shame. It's a shame that we didn't see anything of him. Jermell, at least, he did end up fighting the best for a while. He was undisputed. But afterwards, just didn't seem like they could keep up with him and keep giving him fights. So that's what we saw with him. Or those guys, the Charlo brothers. Shout out to the Charlo brothers. Hopefully we see them again. Now, this is the Jimmy Hoffa Award. Now, I don't know if you guys know who Jimmy Hoffa was, because some of you aren't 100 years old, but Jimmy Hoffa was part of the Teamsters Union, I believe. Well, he was a union leader, closely aligned with the mob. He was well liked. He did as he was told, but some people claim that he started barking too much, talking back too much, and so somebody got rid of him. He disappeared. And even to this day, some people still claim to know what happened to him, that he was buried here, he was buried there. Isn't there? I think there's even a rumor that he was buried in a stadium somewhere under the grass there. But anyway, the guy who gets the Jimmy Hoffa Award of someone who was well-liked, who was doing what he's supposed to, and then just fell off the face of the earth, Errol Spence. This guy was when Deontay Wilder lost, a lot of the people from the LDBC picked this guy up as the next best thing. I'm telling you, the support that Errol Spence had was amazing. There were even some people that were saying that nobody could beat him. No welterweight could beat him. No super welterweight could beat him. And that the only guy who could maybe give him trouble was Canelo Alvarez at 160 pounds. That was a conversation as little as 2 years ago with some Errol Spence fans. And a lot of them were convinced that he was going to run through Terence Crawford. It's easy to forget now because the world moves on, especially the world of boxing. There's always something happening. You get left behind. But it's interesting that that whole saga with Terence Crawford. I was rewatching the 2023 segment that we did on the most shocking moments of 2023, and I was rewatching it and thinking, wow, Errol Spence fans, the Errol Spence fanatics were really insane, thinking that this guy was going to be able to beat Canelo. He could have been Golovkin a couple of years back. I mean, the Errol Spence peak was in 2019. That was the peak of Errol Spence mania, when he beat little fat Mikey Garcia. Couldn't even stop him, but that wasn't the problem that didn't matter for the Errol Spence fans. For them, he outboxed a guy who was a top 10 pound-for-pound guy, and never mind that he was a guy that was pretty much a blown-off featherweight. They were all happy with that. Then he struggled. I remember the build-up to the Porter fight. Hold on, excuse me, just go 1 second. Getting a message here from buying me a coffee. Going into the the Porter fight, the Sean Porter fight, I remember people in the chat really giving us guff for having the goal to say that it was going to be a close competitive fight. They thought he was going to run to Sean Porter, and we kept saying, well, Sean Porter's not a nobody. He's always well conditioned. He's tough, and it wouldn't surprise us if he beats Errol Spence. No. He beats everybody. He beats Thurman. He beats Porter. He beats Crawford. Nobody can stand up to him. Well, it was a very close fight against Sean Porter. Then he got into that accident in combination with his lifestyle. He looked weird against Danny Garcia, looked even weirder against Jordani Sugas, and then that's all she wrote against Terence Crawford. The chickens came home to roost against Errol Spence. Shout out to... Oh, hold on a second. We had more messages here. Shout out to Recognize the Matrix. Recognize, I feel bad taking your money, man, your contributions, because you don't have to, man. You being on the panel and part of the community is good enough. But I mean, hey, I appreciate it anyway. Shout out to Recognize the Matrix for his contribution via the Buy Me a Coffee. He says, let me read it here. I think I know who's going to win. Oh, no, he says, I think I know who I'm going with for Fighter of the Year 2024. I won't say until we do our annual end of the year report cards, and I have a feeling it might ruffle some feathers and feelings. Ha ha ha. In my BDA sarcasm laugh. Ha ha ha. That's the BDA sarcasm laugh. Salute to BDA crew and chat. Well, shout out to Recognize the Matrix. I already know who is going to pick as Fighter of the Year. I already know it, because I know Recognize very well. He's going to pick Oscar Collazo, the minimum weight guy, straw weight guy, because he's Puerto Rican. He's looking like a real pound for pounder. That's what he's going to go with. Or maybe I'm wrong. Recognize he's probably going to surprise us the next time he's on the panel. So shout out to Recognize for that. Shout out to Jesus Pardo for his contribution with the Buy Me a Coffee. He says, Errol got them things hanging. I mean, how can you look at this guy's tits and not think, okay, he really is on something? How can he blow up in weight, look like a fatso? We've got enough pictures of him with his belly hanging out, and he's got tits on top of that. And then come fight night or come the weigh-in, he was always ripped. I mean, come on, guys, it's nothing suspicious, right? But shout out to Jesus Pardo for his contribution. Let's get back to these awards, and then we still have a long way to go, fellas. We're gonna open up the phone lines and. A lot going on here in regards to some of the drama in the boxing community. Jack Catterall gets the Consistently Bland Award. I gotta tell you, I respect Jack Catterall as a fighter. He didn't take any of Josh Taylor's hijinks and shenanigans lightly. He talked back to him. Should have gotten the decision against him in the first fight. That didn't happen. If you want, Teofimo Lopez should really thank the judges from the first Catterall fight, because if it wasn't for them, Teofimo Lopez wouldn't be the undisputed junior welterweight champion right now. Be that as it may, things happened the way they happened, and Jack Catterall did end up getting his revenge against Taylor this year. So he did so by being consistently bland. However, this guy who's going to be taking on Barboza next year, by the way. So guys, if you got insomnia out there, put your medicine aside, whatever your doctor prescribed. And I'm being funny, obviously. No, I'm not a doctor, so don't listen to me. But you know what I'm saying. Insomniac's out there. He's going to be fighting, Jack Catterall is going to be fighting Arnold Barboza. Another bland fighter out there. Top junior welterweight, but quite bland. So if you like falling asleep while watching fights, put that one down in your calendar, because it's going to be a snooze fest. But this year, be that as it may, Catterall was consistently bland. He beat Josh Taylor in May when he got his revenge. For some reason, Bob Arum thought it was a robbery and that Taylor should have won. I guess Bob Arum needs glasses now more than ever. And then he took on Carroll, that is, took on Regis Prograis in October in the Battle of Southpaws. That fight wasn't that bad. I gotta be upfront here. Stop being funny for a bit and say, yeah, that was okay. But even then, it wasn't. Jack Catterall it seemed he could have made it easier had he let his hands go. But he was a little bit too tentative in the early rounds against an older fighter. So Jack Catterall gets the consistently bland award. He's consistent with his wins and his performances, but that's the problem. They're always bland for the most part. Now, another guy, I think I got a couple more awards left and then we can move on to something else. Tim Tszyu gets the One of Those Days awards. You ever have one of those days where, you wake up in the morning and maybe, the juice maker, the orange juice maker blows up on you and you get orange juice all over you. Then you're stuck in traffic, right? Then a car passes by over a puddle and it's covers you in slime or just dirty water. Then you get to work and then something happens. It's just one of those days. Well, Tim Tszyu, if the year was one a day, we could condense it to one day. He had one of those days. He had a year that poor Tim Tszyu, I don't think there's too many fighters out there that envy him because he ended up having the misfortune of falling for the PBC's shadow play when they told him, yeah, you're going to fight Keith Thurman, a guy who's been out of the ring for 2 years, smaller guy, older than you. And then they did the old switch, the old Guatemalan snatch away. Whoops, oh, no, we're taking that fight away and we're replacing it with something more dangerous. Sebastian Fundora. They set him up big time, like Ipadukua says. That's right, big time. He ended up losing that fight. It was a close fight, but he lost it. Okay, no shame there. But then again, the shame was no rematch. That's how the PBC rolls. They got, finally we got a guy who, just because the PBC, they're so desperate for stars, they got themselves a good win with Fundora. So they say, we're keeping this guy away from Tim Tszyu. We're not giving Tszyu a rematch. So Tszyu says, okay, still believing with the PBC, still aligning himself with them, ends up taking on, what's his name again? Murtazaliev. Strong guy from Eastern Europe. Kind of slow looking, so I understood why they thought they would be able to beat him. And actually, I was rewatching that fight. It's on YouTube. Tim Tszyu was actually looking good for the first 50 seconds. And then Murtazaliev started letting his hands go. And that was it, man. It reminded me a little bit of Felix Trinidad, Fernando Vargas, except this time the Fernando Vargas archetype didn't make it out of the third round. It was just a beating. And yeah, man, he just had one of those years. I don't know if the worst thing is that he ended up losing in front of his father. His father, he never really wanted to have his father in there for various reasons, one of which being that he was screaming too much, according to Tim Tszyu. So now he's got his father there. He's supposed to be a good fight, and then his father's probably horrified watching his son getting the crap kicked out of him. So, yep, Tim Tszyu gets the One of Those Days awards. If anybody deserves a bit of a tune-up coming into 2025, it's him, because the year he had, again, I don't think many fighters wanted to be in his position. We got Never Sobers. Sobers, I'm hearing some. I'm hearing myself there in the background.
Background, really?
Yeah. Let's see. If I'm gonna keep talking. I'm gonna keep yapping. See if I can hear myself. Oh, he muted himself. All right. Real quick. So that was Tim Tszyu. Now I want to give props to ProBox here, because in today's era, what the fuck, ProBox, that's a car too, apparently. The fuck? All right. In today's era, we got to pay for different things, right? We got to pay for the DAZN app, which thankfully now has Top Rank on, is going to have Top Rank on the roster. So that you got Eddie Hearn in there, you got Golden Boy, you got Frank Warren now, then you got the Sheik subsidizing all these dudes. So it looks like DAZN is the place to be now. But then also on top of that, you got to have Amazon. You still need ESPN Plus for the first half of next year on top of that. So with all these payments we got to do as boxing fans, it really was, ProBox was a breath of fresh air, because A, it was free, and they put on some great cards. And I do mean great cards. So they deserve the High Quality for Bargain Prices award. High quality for bargain prices, because really, some of the stuff they put on was pretty good. Off the top of my head, the Adam Lopez versus Cardoso, That was a very good fight. Lipinius versus Robbie Davis Jr. That was another excellent fight. The Samurai went to war against that dude. Rosado versus Jared Hurd. That was an okay fight too between two has-beens, but it was entertaining too. And yeah, man, and Vladimir Hernandez fought twice there. So it's a very good platform because all these fighters complaining about, oh, I don't get enough TV cards, TV dates, blah, blah, blah. It's not technically TV, but then again, who watches TV anymore? This is on YouTube. They're doing, I don't know who the matchmaker is over at ProBox, but shout out to them, tip of the hat, because they are really doing as much as they can with the budget they have. They got Polo Malignaggi, who should have remained over at the PBC, but they didn't like what he was saying, so they canned him. Him and Chris Algieri. You know, usually I don't like two expert commentators on the same broadcast, but these guys, for some reason, it gels. They gel. It works. Polo Malignaggi and Chris Algieri. So I really enjoy the ProBox product. It's a good platform, like I said, for fighters to stay active and maybe use that as a launching pad for something else, the way they did with Angelo Leo, who fought twice that year and then was able to upgrade to ESPN and made the most of it against Bernardo Lopez. And then again, where else do you see a guy like Vladimir Hernandez, Vladimir the Count Hernandez, who ended up having a very good year too? But Sobers, what did you think of ProBox? I know you watched some of it this year.
You can hear me clearly? No more echo?
Absolutely. I can hear you, yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, ProBox, I really like ProBox. It's fun. It's free. It's even people in the YTBC even have interacted with Paulie. There's a clip of an account called DJ Alonzo Love, and Paulie Malignaggi reads out one of his comments. He says Paulie loves BBC.
Oh yeah, I saw that one. Yeah. And, then and you can see Chris Algieri starts squinting at the. Yeah.
He's like, he's like, what?
Yeah, he's squinting at the screen. At first, he probably didn't get what he was. But yeah,
they don't really interact with the YTBC, and the fights are competitive, and they're good building fights. This guy Vladimir Hernandez, you know, maybe he's not world contender, but he can have some good fights. He can get some good knockouts. He shut down. I'm not sure if it was this year, but I remember he shut down Gervonta Davis's little protege. His name was like Truck Simpson. He beat him up in Atlanta, and then he knocked out this other dude. Yeah, I can't remember. I think it was an Italian guy. It was a sick ass knockout. Argentina. Okay. But yeah, there's always good fights on there, and even Angelo Leo showed that a guy can step up from there and win a world title. He iced Bernardo Lopez. Ever comes back. So I think ProBox is great. It's great for boxing. More boxing, more fights. You know, that's what I like.
You know, ever since the days when they took ESPN's Friday Night Fights off the air, I was always looking for something. I was always waiting for some you know, like I said, bargain bin level fights where, okay, they're not, you know, championship level fights or even contender level fights, but they're fights where you see prospects being, and that's the other thing. They keep saying it, so it's starting to get old, but it's still truthful. They always say competitive fights. No one is matched, not no one, but there's very few layup fights over at ProBox. It's always going to be some form of tough matchup for these guys. And so it's very useful for boxers, man. You want to stay active. And it really, by the way, it really does delineate the true boxers from the spoiled ones who, I won $1 million to fight a tune-up. It's like, nah, man. Some guys don't have that benefit.
You know what? It helps guys like Jermaine Ortiz. You know, he's looking for a fight. He doesn't have a promoter. He can jump on there, stay active. You know, maybe not to get the biggest check, but he needs to stay active and he needs to be in the ring. And that's what it helps guys like that. He can rebuild, maybe get himself back a title shot.
Yeah, and then a guy like Kalajic too, the Serbian Cholo, he fought there too.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if it was this year. Yeah, I don't know if it was this year, but still, I mean, let's say it was this year. He got 2 fights. He got that fight against, I forget who it was that he knocked out, and then he fought Morel on that mega card or on the Crawford Madrimov undercard. So he fought twice.
And he made Morel look bad.
That's what I'm saying. Well, you know how else he made him look bad because you're referring to the fight. But I'm saying he made Morel look bad too because Morel only fought once this year.
Right.
So imagine that.
Yeah, worked him too. Yeah, exactly.
the up-and-comer guy that everyone's high on, well, a lot of people are high on, blah, blah, he only fought once, whereas Kalashnik, hey, he doesn't care about taking less money, whatever. I don't know who his promoter or manager is, whatever. They managed to get him a fight on Pro Box. He stayed active. He got a knockout. He reminded people that he was still out there. Hey, you know who else?
Oh, yeah.
You know who else? You know who else fought on Pro Box? I'm looking at the photos here. The mole, Erden Abat. He's the guy. Remember that guy that's supposedly?
I know who you're talking about, but I'm sorry. Are you okay?
Is that what he said?
Yeah, he made a little video to Ryan. I'm sorry. Are you okay?
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck's that about. But what was it?
Because we were talking about his rib that he broke. You know what I'm saying? Up to the Davis fight.
Yeah, exactly. The guy who.
I'm sorry.
Ryan.
It might be maybe something out of context. But yeah, Ryan Garcia's broken rib, leading up to Gervonta Davis fight. The mole. He broke his rib, and he gave like a weird apology, a weird out of context video where he goes, "Ryan, I'm sorry. Are you okay?"
What the fuck was that? But yeah, man. I mean, that's now there was a rumor that I don't know where. I think it was on Twitter where I saw it, that people were saying that supposedly the PBC might be aligning themselves or itself rather with whatchamacallit, with the Pro Box. And I can't imagine what do they really bring other than a roster of what do they call it? A roster of has-beens and inactive fighters.
They want a budget from Pro Box or what?
Yeah, I mean, imagine Killer Plant on
So how
Pro
much
Box.
are you gonna give us, huh, Paulie?
You know what? It's like Killer Plant's gonna go in there. He's go, okay. Here are my demands. I want a 24 by 24 whatever ring. I want the suite at the hotel, and I want $500,000. They're gonna go. The best we can do is $10,000. You stay at the Holiday Inn. It's got one bathroom, and we give you a bus pass. How about that? That's the best you're gonna get from Pro Box.
We got you $500, and we'll get you right to the ring, to the arena.
Complimentary breakfast, which is all just a bunch of fucking it's a bunch of donuts and some bread with some cottage
You have to
cheese
get
on
there
it.
before Dan Raphael.
Oh, come on. Oh, man. Wait, by the way, shout out to Rafael Garza Jr. for his contribution to the Buy Me a Coffee. He says, I am expecting Canelo to shed the PBC and Al Heyman. I suspect that this is what kept the PBC afloat over at Amazon. Well, that's really it, man. I don't want to, make this the PBC punching bag show, but as I was reviewing the year sobers before going on the air, that's really what became apparent, that a lot of these guys like Figaroa, Caleb Plant, they all fought on undercards, and the only way they could get an undercard bout was when either Tang Davis or Canelo fought. So Canelo fought twice, Tang Davis fought once. That was 3 pay-per-views right there. And so now you got to fit all those PBC guys on there. And they only had so many of those. Again, they only had 5 events this year. So it was a bad year for being a PBC fighter, man. Can't imagine how much they got paid for that.
I don't know what to say, dude. Just, it's circling the drain, I don't want to be one of those people that's banging on the end of the PBC or whatever. But you can see what's coming. And if they line themselves with Pro Box, I don't know what I don't know how that's going to benefit them. Are they buying Pro Box and then they're going to start funding Pro Box? That's why I made that joke. Like, are they going to ask for money to fund the PBC from them? I don't get how that's going to work.
I don't know, man. It's difficult to understand what's going on.
I was going to say, like, and then these weird like companies appearing from the corpses of these like Showtime. Showtime Boxing became ATS, All the Smoke, and I guess that's like Andre Ward's podcast now. Do you know what I'm talking about? All their social media stuff became ATS.
Is that right?
Yeah.
That explains why they have so many subscribers. I was like, well, how did this I never heard of it before. How did he get? So they did the same thing that Turkey did then when he bought Michael Benson's account.
Yes, and now I keep getting updates from this stupid account that I never even follow. That's Michael Benson with 2 N's, and he's over here tricking me and other people with fake fight news.
Yeah, you gotta watch out, man. You gotta watch out, especially when he gives you some believable news, but not too far-fetched for you to go BS right away, but just enough so that people go, wait a minute, is that really true? But back to the awards here. Here's a guy, speaking of Pro Box, who gets the Lunch Pail Award. The Lunch Pail Award means you better bring your lunch pail because when you step in there with this guy, you're going to work. And that is Vladimir El Conte Hernandez. The fucking Count Dracula over here. This dude, like you said, Sobers, last year he beat Calvin Ford's guy, Simpson, Bart Simpson. And this year he went 2-1, I think. I think he lost against another prospect at top rank, but he gave him hell for all 8 rounds or 10 rounds, however long it was. I think he went to war in 2 other fights against an Argentinian guy and against, I think, a Dominican. And this dude, again, watch out. If you're a prospect, mid-level contender, whatever, this dude will make you work. If you don't take him out of there, it's going to be hell for you. Like Sargent says, yeah, he also had a KO Contender of the Year award. Nomination, rather, excuse me. So, pretty good year for Vladimir Hernandez. He's the type of guy who wouldn't be shining if he had to fight on ESPN or DAZN or even Amazon. You know, they'd be feeding him to top guys. Whereas on Pro Box, they can match him up with guys that are, his level, and he can really test them and walk away with some wins. And some money, too.
He's built like the Emmanuel Navarrete type of fighter,
Uh-huh.
They see him and they think, oh, look at this guy, And it can be fooling because he can fight.
Absolutely.
It can be deceptive, you know what I mean? Because he looks like a weird, because he looks like he washes dishes all day.
At least you didn't go with it looks like he cuts grass all day or something like that, or he fixes roofs. That's
he looks like like all his strength comes from carrying a leaf blower on his back.
Nah, God. See, you were gonna go with that one, man. But yeah, but shout out to Vladimir Hernandez, shout out to Pro Box, and I can't wait to see what they come up with next year. By the way, how often
is he half Ukrainian or something?
I think so, man, because Vladimir and then the haircut, he looks like a vampire.
That might be his edge.
I was gonna say, are you aware of what the Pro Box schedule is? Is it 2 events per month or is it 1 event every 2 months?
I have no idea. I think it's fairly often though. I would go with the 2 events per month, maybe.
Yeah, because I remember.
I'll leave more of that, and then maybe 1 event a month, and then 2.
Yeah. Also, the great thing the great thing about watching the YouTube streams of Pro Box is, first of all, you get a bunch of crazy people in the chat. There's always some guy who comes in and goes, Mexican fighters are the best. Then another dude jumps on is American fighters all day, every day. And they just start spamming nonstop until finally somebody kicks them out. But yeah, I've seen some familiar faces there. I do think there's some interaction, I think, every once in a while. And they end early. They don't end at fucking midnight or 1 in the morning. They end at about 10:30 at night, Eastern time. So that's pretty good right there, man.
Yeah, I enjoy that. I used to like waiting up. I used to like having the fights end at 1 or 2 in the morning. Now I'm getting kind of sick of that shit.
By the way, Amok in the Discord is telling me that IBA Boxing YouTube channel is good for free live fights. He prefers it over Robbery Box TV. He calls it Robbery Box because he claims his favorite fighters are getting robbed. But IBA Boxing, is that the one where they have a bunch of Olympians from Russia and Cuba and all that?
I don't know. I haven't seen that.
Let me check. I think that's the one. It actually looks pretty fucking high class if it's the one I'm thinking of. Hold on a second. Hold on a second.
I know there's that other one, that OTX. Oh, and there's another free league, I think, on YouTube. I was watching. It's like a team boxing league, and they have a team of 24 fighters, and they all go 1 round at a time. And then whether you get a knockout or you win the round, you get X amount of points, and they add them up at the end of 24 rounds.
Interesting. That TX one you mentioned before that. No, I've never seen that one. What's it called?
I can't remember. I can find the link to the channel, but it's like a team boxing league. It's not called that.
Well,
but they all have points. There's like a Miami team and an Atlanta team. It's interesting.
Yeah, that sounds good. Interesting, man. I'm gonna look it up. Team. What did you say? Team
boxing league. I don't think that's what it's called, but I'll just put team boxing.
Well, this one is the one this is the one that I'd seen before. IBA Boxing. They take up and coming prospects or high level amateurs. I think they're located in Eastern Europe or something, and they fight each other. I don't know if it counts as professional fights. I don't know if it's like the.
Do they have headgear?
No, they don't. So I don't know if this is like the WSB from a couple of years ago, where you got guys like Usyk, Lomachenko, and Joey Joyce, where it didn't count in their official pro record. But I don't know. Maybe somebody can clarify.
I would assume that it'd be like a prepper league, kind of just put them on TV and then no pressure. It's not going to go on your professional record.
Right.
Just get their feet wet.
You know, this year, this whole episode is we're talking about things that may have gone under the radar this year, or things that people forgot. But you mentioned that the TX tournament or something from the Zone. Are you referring to the one where Brandon Adams fought that Greek guy a couple of months ago?
The OTX, I think it's in a arena in Atlanta. They have I think Alicia Bumgarner fought on there, and Brandon Adams fought in there recently, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
I can't remember if it was a tournament.
That it didn't really make a lot of waves, but yeah, there was a tournament on the Zone, and I think you could see the fights free on YouTube. Brandon Adams took on a guy by the name. It's a Greek guy, undefeated Greek guy. I forget that. I'm gonna have to look it up. Andreas Katsurakis, undefeated pressure guy, and this took place in a tournament that the Zone put together. They called it I'm going to look it up. Hold on. OTX, 154-pound tournament. So it was it was a mini tournament with some lesser names. You know, it obviously wasn't the top 10 guys in the division, but it was a good card or series of events to really prop up certain fighters and get attention on the 154-pound division. And at the end, it was Brandon Adams, the guy who has a win over Serhiy Bohajak, or actually the only guy to ever beat Bohajak, taking on Andreas Katsurakis, who was an undefeated guy. Both guys made it to the final. It was a bit of a contentious decision because some people thought Adams was a clear winner in a competitive fight. But still, that's something that went under the radar. And it's interesting because we're always talking about, tournaments. We like tournaments. Well, this one seems like they didn't really catch a lot of attention.
Yeah, then you do a little bit of marketing, I guess. They need to start paying to put that in people's news feeds.
They need to hire me to do that PR for them here on the channel.
There you go.
They need to hire me. It was me. But
hey, you know what's interesting though, BDA? Because I'm thinking about all these companies like getting out of boxing, like HBO and Showtime, and we're talking about all these different little organizations that are making events happen, like you said, like this tournament. And there was the World Super Series where they did Muhammad Ali Trophy. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, that was still with the HBO, right? But was still alive. But I'm saying there's a lot of smaller events going on. Maybe it's not you can't have world-class competition on every card, but it's a lot of smaller companies starting to make events happen. And now that there's space and there's not so much a monopoly, you know what I mean?
Absolutely, yeah, you're right. And I'm gonna bookmark the IBA one because they are good. Who did I see? There was a Cuban guy that I saw under that I'd been following his amateur career, and then I'd found that the guy was fighting without headgear and everything on the IBA. So I said, whoa, what's going on here? So I'm going to keep my eye on that. And yeah, let's, keep your eye on Pro Box and all these other smaller companies that are coming out, because everyone's always complaining, there's not enough boxing. Boxing's obscure. It's declining. Well, they're putting out free boxing on YouTube, and you better watch and you better pay attention to it and subscribe to it and really let these guys know that there are eyes on this, watching, listening, like sobers, always watching, always recording,
always touching.
Come on, you added that. I did not, that man. What's the matter with you, man?
Wait. What I say? I thought about you.
I don't know, man. I don't know what you're saying. But hey, man, listen, sobers, I gotta leave for 5 seconds. 15 seconds. No, more than that. Take a little bit of a latrine break, and afterwards we're going to take phone calls and we're going to talk about other stuff. Actually, hold on. Before we go, okay, so last thing on this unofficial BDA year-end review awards, whatever you want to call them. Okay, so we gave all these awards. Now the I want to see more of awards. These are the following guys, the fighters that I want to see more of in 2025. I want to see more Martin Bakole. I want to see more Murtazaliev, who really came out onto the scene against Zhu. I want to see more of Angelo Leo. He fought 3 times this year. He upset Vaquero Lopez, who that loss really upset a lot of people, by the way. Sobers can tell you about all that. Mirko Cuello, I want to see more of Mirko Cuello. This is an Argentinian guy who's, I'm a sucker for body punches, especially left hook to the body. If a guy goes often and hard to the body, I like to see that. And Mirko Cuello is an Argentinian guy, undefeated, 25 years old. This guy loads up on that left hook, whips it out. It's really a world-class left hook to the body, I must say. Now, that doesn't mean he's going to be an all-time great or even, a top 10 guy in his division, because you just never know. I don't know if he can take a punch or not. But I want to see more of him. Now, the reason why I bring him up is because he's connected to another guy that I want to see more of next year, Suleiman Segawa. Suleiman Segawa was a fighter from Uganda. Jermaine Ortiz stopped him not that long ago.
He beat Ruben.
That's right. This year, he's 33 years old, and like I said, he's got a bunch of losses on his record. But this year, he came out of nowhere. He beat Ruben Villa, that you just mentioned, who Top Rank had big plans for.
Drac.
What's that?
El Drac. That's what he called himself.
Is that what he calls himself? What the fuck type of nickname is that?
Yeah.
And then Segawa
I guess they told me to look like Dracula.
Oh, come on. Really? No, that's Vladimir Hernandez. Anyway. Segawa then took on Shushu Carrington, another up-and-coming guy from Top Rank. And some people feel like Segawa should have gotten the decision in that one. Really made Shushu Carrington look bad.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, that's why afterwards, Shushu Carrington went over to the Jake Paul Tyson undercard. It's almost like he went in a bit of an easy fight over there.
Well, not the worst thing. I heard that they're going to make him fight anyway eventually.
Shushu?
Or, he was at Inouye's last fight when he fought on Top Rank. I would love to see that. Shushu. And when Inouye's ready to go up to 126, I think that's going to be his introductionary fight.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a good idea to put him in there against Inoue right off the bat. But
I think it's a great idea.
Come on, I think that's the fight you really want to see, in 2025, Shushu Carrington versus Inoue, and but yeah, so those are some of the more obscure guys that I want to see more of next year, and I really want to see. I got to tell you though, I wouldn't be surprised if Murtazaliev all of a sudden ends up losing his next fight against a nobody, and you go, what the fuck?
You know who I want to see?
Yeah.
Oh my bad, go ahead, BDA.
Well, actually, you keep
there's
going.
a fighter that I want to see next year. He has a fight. Oh, my bad. Go ahead, BDA.
I think there's a big delay between us. You keep going, and I'll be right back, right, man?
All right. There's a fight that I do want to see next year. A fighter, he's at 130. His name is Sugar Nunez. He has a fight lined up with Kakase, the guy who knocked out Joe Cordina, the Irishman. He has kind of a Argentinian, Spanish-sounding name, but he's Irish, and he's going to fight Sugar Nunez for that belt that he took off Joe Cordina. Everyone keep your eye on that one. That's going to be great. And there's a fight that BDA was also talking about earlier. He was talking about Fulton and Figaroa. And Figaroa's been out of the ring for a long time, with this PBC, prevention, the stall and brawl. I don't know what they're doing to their guys, not giving them fights. But I think Fulton looked terrible against that guy Castro in his last fight. I really think he lost that fight. And going back to Figaroa, in his last fight at 126, I thought he looked great. He looked much better than he did at 122. And I mean, the inactivity is going to be a big problem. But if everything's up and he's in the gym, I got Brandon Figaroa knocking out Fulton. I want to see that fight next year. That's one of the fights I want to see next year. Another one that's on my list that we need to see next year is Emmanuel Navarrete. I used to talk hella smack about him, but he won me over. Now that he knocked out Valdez, he decapitated him, sacrificed him to the Aztec gods. Blood has been spilled. They care not where the blood flows, just that it flows. So Navarrete is a guy. I wanted to see him fight Oshaki Foster, and that'll be a great fight. I think I think Navarrete can stop him too. To be honest, he's too inactive in there. He's too economical with his punches. I know he had a great knockout against that Eduardo Hernandez guy, but that was a tiny ass guy who was beating his ass. And this dude got he beat Oshaki Foster's ass so much that he got exhausted and he got himself knocked out. That was a little dude. Navarrete, they're closer to the same size. That'll be a much more interesting matchup for me. So that's what I'm looking forward to next year. And another fight, obviously, that we all need to see next year, guys, is going to be Canelo versus Crawford. Fingers crossed for that one. I've been talking about that for over a year now, and The boxing gods must have heard me. The turkey, that someone put a bug in the turkey's ear, and he's gonna make that fight happen for everybody. So what else? What else? Another fight I want to see next year. This is just gonna be a wish list because I don't really see this happening now, right? But a possible fight next year could be Andy Ruiz versus Deontay Wilder. Ruiz didn't look terrible in his last fight, but he didn't look like the guy he was. And Wilder, we know he hasn't looked great in his last fight, but this is a great domestic fight, and the winner of this fight could go on to take a world champion. He could put himself back on the contender status, like a rebuilding process because they both need it. So I would like to see Andy Ruiz get that fight Wilder, and then say Ruiz wins, or Wilder, whoever wins, let him fight Jarrell Miller. And then let's see where they are on the world title contention area after that. Right? Damn, BDA's taking a long ass piss. Let me see. What the chat's saying. Feed Wilder to Ruiz, that's what I'm saying. Wilder versus AJ, that would be a great fight to see too. People say they're both washed up, but that's a great fight to see who got something left. Let's see who got something left. That's a fight that, it's way past his due date. But I mean, they gave us Amir Khan and what's that dude? The brownie guy, the one who drinks sweat. His trainer drinks his sweat.
Oh, Brooke.
What's his name? Kell Brook. Yeah.
Hey,
they made a fight. They made Amir Khan versus Kell Brook like 10 years after it was past the due date. So give me Wilder and AJ.
You mentioned Sugar Nunez. That's the last thing I caught before I went to the latrine. I got a cup of tea too at the same time, so thank you for holding it down. Who's Sugar Nunez again? I forget.
Sugar Nunez is a little jacked paisa from I can't remember what part of Mexico, but he's been knocking dudes out. He's been a world warrior. He got some good knockouts in Russia, and now he's up for a title shot against Kakasi, the guy who took the belt off of Joe Cordina.
Oh, he's the guy that beat Rakimov in Russia, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I was gonna mention that guy too. Before I left, you said Sugar Nunez, and I said, you know what? When I come back, I'm gonna bring up that Mexican dude, and that was him. Yeah, that dude's tough, man. I mean, Rakimov is a guy that's very tough too, and this guy stopped him. I mean, Jojo Diaz couldn't put a dent in him. What's his name? The Welsh guy who used to be the best at 130 at some point.
Cordina?
Cordina, yes, thank you. Forgetting the names. What the fuck? Cordina dropped him, right? Twice, I think. Even though he was...
Yeah.
But that went on to be a very competitive fight. Meanwhile, this Nunez guy just fucking ran through him, so we'll see, man.
Yeah, it was 11 rounds. I think he's one of these guys, he's in the 100% club. He's got all stoppages.
Yeah.
I forgot to mention that.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
So
but I do wonder...
He's a little dude. He comes with the knockouts. And look, you can tell that this guy is going to have to end up going in to 135 eventually because he has a lot of weight on him.
Yeah, that's true, man. That's true. That's a good pick there, Sobers. That dude it's another guy that sort of went under the radar. And I'm the only thing I'm worried about is what if he runs into a guy who can, like a Nick Ball guy who maybe beats him at his own game. Sort of like Giovanni Santillán looked like a beast too when he took apart Rocha. And then he ran into Brian Norman Jr. and that's all she wrote.
Yeah, but Rakimov is not a Rocha kind of fighter,
That's true. Yeah, I think Rakimov.
He's been in the fire now.
That's true. 126, a pretty interesting division, man. This year it really shaped up. I mean, you got Picasso, you got Nick Ball, you got Figueroa, Fulton. You still got Ray Vargas there, although I don't really care for that dude a lot. Very, very uneasy to look at and very uneasy to watch fight as well. Just really bad.
the Lizard King.
He's really a bad product overall. He's unusual looking, and then on top of that, he's boring to watch box. So yeah, it's
He looks like he has a forked tongue, like he smells with his tongue.
He looks like I'm expecting Conan the Barbarian to go in there at any time and chop his head off. But listen,
right, exactly. He looks like the real lizards that Shadowban talks about. Inside your head. That's how you look like after they get you. You turn into Ray Vargas.
But they got to put the mind chip first, right? The chip behind the eye.
Yeah.
the brain, the soul catcher, whatever they call it. But I'm going to open up the phone line, see if anybody wants to call in, because we still got we're at that 2 hour. We're almost at the 2 hour mark, but we still got a lot of news to get to. I don't know how long it's going to take us to get through all of this. There's a lot going on, Sobers. A lot going on that we haven't gotten to since we've been last been on the air.
Can I add one thing that because you said Picasso's name earlier?
Mm-hmm.
I think he's signed with Canelo Promotions now. He's going to be underneath Eddie Reynoso and them.
Is that
I think
right?
that's going to be great in 2025 to see what he can do in that camp. Him and Teofimo there. It looks like he's getting it like a real stable. You know, he had Andy Ruiz and Ryan Garcia, and I was hyped for that. But like those guys didn't look like they could
Ready
make the
to
cut
connect.
there.
Click
So we'll
connect
see
to
if
show now.
these other guys can do it.
Yeah, the whole Reynoso thing, he's evidently he's been overrated in the sense that some people think that, oh, well, he trains a pound for pounder, therefore he trains me. He's going to somehow turn me into a pound for pound. Like there's some alchemy going on where he can just transmute me from average to...
No, Valdez has been the same fighter, you know, the entire time he's been with them, before and after, I think, you know?
Mm-hmm, exactly, yeah, so... But hey, man, you know, a young guy like Picasso that they can mold from almost the beginning, hey, maybe that could work. I don't know. Also, the other thing, you know what? Talking about things that we are going to be looking forward to for 2025, one thing I'm looking forward to is Teofimo Lopez versus Matias, because I can already tell you what's going to happen, Sobers. He's going to hook up with, for the moment, it seems like he's going to stay with Reynoso. Might be in the corner or something, I don't know. Matias, a lot of people are saying, is tailor-made for Lopez. Because contrary to Paro, he actually slips and counters, and he can crack with both hands, and he's just going to take Matias apart. If he takes Matias apart and stops him, get ready for the Reynoso hype train to start again. Because people are going to say, oh, Reynoso. They're going to look at that performance and going to say, Reynoso is the responsible. He's the one that turned Lopez.
I'm going to be the conductor, BDA.
Ah, come on. Well, at least you're upfront about it. At least you're upfront about it. But I'm going to be dubious. I'm going to be highly dubious. Hey, by the way, the phone lines are open, so in case anybody wants to call in, give us your thoughts on everything that happened this year, 2024, what you expect to happen in 2025, and some of the other things that we're going to be talking about. But where are my manners, by the way, Sobers? I forgot to say. So what else? Like, what piqued your interest in 2024, and what do you expect from 2025?
Well, I like the amount of upsets there was this year, to be honest. I feel like there's a lot of exposing going on in the boxing industry. And even though I'm trepidatious about what boxing's going to look like under the leadership of the Saudi regime. I said trepidatious.
Yeah, I don't know what that means. Right? I don't know what that means. But go ahead.
Well, like I'm cautiously watching how boxing's gonna look under the leadership of the Saudi regime. So, you know, as of right now, all the fights he's been making and everything, they've been great. And even the cards that some people are like, oh, this is not that great, he's still cutting them the price down, and they're still, you know, they're decent cards. So I'm looking forward to see what they can make happen next year. And yes, hopefully the integrity of the sport stays there. It seems like they aren't really trying to rob anybody. So I don't know how long they can keep that up with until, you know, the financial interests start clashing with the integrity of the sport. And, you know, for this year is great, but we'll see what happens with next year. You know, what if Crawford has an even closer fight than he did with Madrimov against somebody else like Virgil Ortiz? Who are they going to give it to, you know?
You know what? You just reminded me. When you get a chance, I don't know if you still have it, can you send me that photo you did of the Sheik hiding behind the wall or peering through behind the wall?
He's always watching.
Yeah, the Sheik is always watching. But yeah, I'm very curious too, because technically we've had big, so-called big fights and other sort of events in Saudi Arabia since, from what I can remember, 2019. Oh no, even before that, right? Because I think the super middleweight WSSB tournament was in Saudi Arabia. So they've been holding events over there, boxing events, since at least 2018. But it's only really in the end of 2023 when they did that mega card with Wild Parker, Joshua versus Wallin, and all those other guys. That was really the first time where they started flexing their money, right? I think so. Yeah, I think that was it. So
Yeah, I think so.
so we
I
had.
thought I was on mute. My bad.
So this was the first year where we actually saw him consistently deliver that. And yeah, like you said, now it's going to be interesting to see what happens next, because now they got Ring Magazine. They got a new Ring TV account on Twitter, which they bought from Michael Benson. Who knows what? Wait, is this from an alternate version of Halloween? What is that photo you just sent me?
That's the target. That's how he got his eyes on boxing. He's watching.
But why is he in the? Why is he in
He's waiting for you all. He's waiting for all the boxing fans to drop their pants.
Oh, come on. He saw a pair of hands that he liked, a smooth pair of hands that he can really grab a hold of. Yeah, look at that. That's the chic right there. I don't know how you made that picture, man. But yeah, shout out to Sobers. But yeah,
Hold on.
I'm going to be using these photos for the year-end review, man.
Use that one right there.
Nah, I don't know if I can put that one on the screen, man. The third one that you sent. This is the one that I was talking. This is the one Bucho. I remember Bucho. He told me one time. He called me up. He goes, "Hey, who put up that picture?" He was laughing his ass off. Who put up that picture of the sheik behind the wall? Oh man, that's a good picture right there, man.
He's waiting. He's waiting for all you guys. So he's waiting for everyone to to let your guard down, and then he's gonna slip up inside you and hit you with the word of Islam. You know what I'm saying? For trying to convert all of you.
Yeah, he's biding his time.
He's biting his finger.
Nah, come on, jeez, Louise. Yeah, he's got a lot of fingers and a lot of pies. That's what they like to say. We got a phone call here. Let's go to a phone call. Let's go to 213. 213, you're on the air. 213, what's on your mind? Hold on a second. 213, sorry, I had you muted. Go ahead, 213, what's on your mind? 213, you're on the air, man. Nah, for some reason, I can't hear him. I heard something at the beginning, and then
Yeah, I heard something just for a second.
Yeah, let me just see if everything's correct here. I think all my settings are correct. Hold on a second. Yeah, everything's... Caller, are you still there? All right, I'm going to drop you. Call back, man. Call back later. Yeah, it's weird. I thought I'd heard something. Anyway, the phone is right there in the middle portion right there of your screen marquee, and it's always going to be in the left-hand middle portion of your screen right there. All right, so let's get down to... We got the year review here done, and we got some premium, really prestigious awards doled out. So now we move on to some of the stuff that's going on right now. Sobers, I don't know if you know this, but Keith Idek, who's a boxing journalist, I think he's looking for work now. I don't know. I could be wrong. Really got into it with Rick Glazier. I forget how it started. I think Rick Glazier started. He made an offhand comment about how Keith Idek, he was questioning his abilities as a journalist.
Wait,
like
Idek?
No. Idek. I think it's Idek. I don't know how you pronounce it. Idek, yeah. Well, he wants to deck, what's his name? Rick Glazier now, because they really got into it. And Idek, he said, okay, you want to mess with me? I'm going all out on you. He is really going after Rick Glazier's ass, which is quite something because Rick Glazier's not a small guy. And anyway, they started going back and forth. Rick Glazier, I don't know if people know this, but he says he's been sick. So he wasn't really up to par to be going back and forth with people. I think finally he's getting back into the saddle. So little by little, he started tweeting back more. I wake up in the morning, Sobers, and I see this tweet from Idek. This is what he had to say. He said, I took a call on my cell at about 8:48 Eastern time this morning from a spoofed number. Dude said, I'm Jamal the Enforcer. I got your number from Rick Glazier. If you don't stop harassing Rick Glazier, this won't end well for you. And then Idek says, I am in no way alleging that Rick Glazier put him up to it. So Rick Glazier then, I can't show you the tweet here for some reason, but he ended up tweeting back saying, come on, Idek, that this is below me. This type of childish endeavors are below me. You really think I would sink that low? And some people in that Twitter thread were saying, yeah, we do think you'd go that low. So, who is Jamal the Enforcer? Have you ever heard of any such thing?
He's probably in the chat right now listening.
But I could.
It's one of you guys, I know. And look, before someone says, "Oh, Greg Glazer, he's a man of high repute. He has a vote for the Boxing Hall of Fame, the Boxing Hall of Fame, whatever." Remember, look, he hangs on the slums of the YTBC too. You'll catch him on these little backwater ass channels as long as someone's kissing his ass.
Nah, wait a minute.
You send him a nice email, and he'll show up on your channel. So there's plenty of he knows who Mirage is. You know what I'm saying? So that might have been Mirage who called that dude.
Yeah, but some people imagine that's a Mirage with a fucking Australian accent. Oh, it's Jamal the Enforcer. I mean, come on.
I'm Jamal the Enforcer. Leave Rick Glazer alone. He's mine.
Well, all I'll say is he's mine. All I'll say is, Sobers, I know you like to make your way across other YouTube channels. You like to rock the boat. You better watch it, man, because Jamal the Enforcer is watching.
Oh, shit.
Well, that's all I'm saying. If somebody called me off from
speechless, I don't know what to say.
If somebody calls me off from a spoof number, they go, "Hey, it's Jamal the Enforcer," I'd be like, I'd be laughing, man. Who the fuck is Jamal the Enforcer? Who calls themselves the Enforcers? And you know what?
They call me the Enforcer.
A smart guy too wouldn't be calling themselves the Enforcer. Like, oh yeah, I'm aligned with organized crime, and I'm their enforcers. Like, what? I actually listen. It's
a YouTube character, man.
It's a what?
It's a YouTube character,
It's gotta be, man.
Watch, we're gonna see a Jamal the Enforcer on one of these channels soon.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I think so, man. I think we're gonna see him in the chat right now, man. In a couple of minutes. but all the kidding aside, I do think the guy is real because somebody said, people send me information all the time. Somebody says that they allegedly got the recording of Jamal the Enforcer calling Keith Idec. Listen to this.
Okay.
Yeah. I give like a couple of dollars and so on. Get on the train, get home.
I mean, that type of threat. I don't even know if I'd recognize that as a threat.
Wait, play that again.
All right, I'm a little. I mean, I don't know. It's terrifying. I don't know how you can hear it twice, but here it goes.
Yeah. I give like a couple of dollars and so on. Get on the train, get home.
I mean, listen, that's. You know what I think it is, man? I think the guy's smart. Jamal the Enforcer. They don't call him the Enforcer for nothing. I think he purposely left it as semi-gibberish so that if they ever take him to a court of law, he can say, well, his attorney is going to say, Your Honor, we can hardly hear anything in there. That's not a threat. Can any competent juror find that or construe that as a threat? They're going to say no, and he goes free. I'm telling you, the Enforcer, he is smart. And I think Recognize told me about this guy a long time ago. I'd have to ask him next panel. Or next episode, rather.
I told you just to watch out if you see him in the chat.
I mean, that's the thing, man. Watch out for Jamal the Enforcer. Jamal. And I'm laughing my ass off here thinking that maybe Rick Glazer did hire a guy. Imagine if he did hire a guy to call Keith Idec and go, "Hey, listen, man, introduce yourself as Jamal the Enforcer."
I'm telling you, look, he's on these goofy ass channels where people go at it all the time, and Jamal the Enforcer type of accounts show up. So it wouldn't be hard for him to be like, "Hey man, do me a favor, just call this guy and tell him to lay off my ass." You know what I
mean? That's a pretty good impersonation right there, man. Hey, maybe because Rick Glazer. Come on. Maybe because Rick Glazer, since he's been ill, maybe he got so desperate that he did go into that state of mind where he goes, "You know what? I need an enforcer to set Keith Idec straight." I don't know.
He was probably all woozy off medicine. You know what I mean? Just hanging out on YouTube.
Let's not forget. Glazer is married to an Afro-Anglo woman. Maybe that was her brother or something. The brother-in-law, right?
Right.
No. Marry a little lamb. Marry one son.
I mean, I gotta tell you, this guy's terrifying. Hey, Solvers, somebody in the M.AW says, BDA, you can't just say Jamal. It's got to be Jamal the Enforcer. That's a good point. You got to pay the guy you got to give him his dues. He's not just it's like a colonel. Remember that movie with Jack Nicholson and Tom Cruise, A Few Good Men, when he goes, I'd appreciate if you address me as colonel or sir. I believe I've earned it. That's the same thing with Jamal the Enforcer. He's earned that title. You don't just call him Jamal.
It's a title.
That's right.
It's not a name. It's not a nickname. It's a title.
If you could have a title on these YTBC streets, what would the title be?
It would just be the same thing I got right now, I guess.
Just Never Solvers?
Yeah.
I've given you one before. You're the archivist.
Oh yeah. But I gave that name to something like that to Alonzo before. I called him the lore master because he'd always give me all the updates and shit.
Oh shit! What'd I tell you? Jamal the Enforcer's in the chat. Look at that. Hold on a second. Jamal the Enforcer. It is what it is, BDA. Do you think
it is what it is.
You think Jamal the Enforcer is he? Or what do they say? He is he?
It's him. He's him.
He's him, yeah. What the fuck's the matter with my grammar? He's he. Yeah, he's him. He is him. Anyway, he's that dude. He moves different. He's got that dog.
Ain't nothing to him.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm moving different.
I mean, I gotta tell you, watch out for Jamal the Enforcer. Keith Idek, I don't know who Keith Idek is. I don't know if he's a tough guy or whatever, but I think he better watch out, man. When Jamal the Enforcer's got his sights on you, I don't know, man.
Queen Sobers, damn, bro. That's hilarious.
What?
Someone in the chat put Queen Sobers.
Oh, come on. Hey, Jamal the Enforcer saying...
But yeah, I did used to go under incognito as Assassin Baby.
All right. Quite a name right there.
That's the name of that little... that's the fighting name of that little stumpy looking dude from the UFC, the 125 guy. What was it? Brandon? Okay. Can't remember his last name.
Well, that makes sense right there. We got a phone call here. Let's see if we can hear it. We can hear it this time. 347. You're on the air. 347. Right. What's on your mind?
Hey, what's up, fellas? It's NPR. How you?
Oh, NPR, man. What's up?
What's going on? Merry Christmas. I didn't get a chance to say Merry Christmas to you guys.
Right back
at you. And Happy New Year. It's come right around the corner. It's almost upon us, gentlemen. Well, I got my Fury prediction correct. The Tyson Fury Usyk fight. But I just want to think that a lot of people are a little bit too critical of Fury. I know all the clowning inside. He was the second best heavyweight, and he was the best heavyweight since Klitschko. And that might not be saying much, or you might not put a lot of stock in that, but he held his own for a while. He had some entertaining fights, and he kept the sport alive, especially in the heavyweight division. Mm-hmm. That was kind of held hostage by a pretty chinny guy named AJ. And so now all that's left for him to do, I believe, is fight for second best and British honors against AJ. So it's all that's really left for either one of them. We got some great fights this year. We got a renewed heavyweight division, and guys like Kabayel and Zhang showed his promise and made a little bit of a comeback there. Wilder is now a punching bag, it seems, to be for guys that are reestablishing themselves. I'd like to see Ruiz do the same, come up a little bit. You know, now it was the year of the comebacks in the heavyweight division.
That's right.
I think that's good for boxing. I think that's a renewed. We got some life in there in the heavyweight division. Finally, it wasn't just held hostage by AJ and just one guy. There's some real competition in the AJ in the heavyweight division. Now, I think that's great. I think Pro Box has been just brilliant for boxing. I think it's the Tuesday night fights of the era, and with better fights. Angelo Leo got some attention drawn to him because of Tuesday night fights. I saw some Japanese guy on there. I believe it was Tuesday night fights. Was it the last card of this year? Was it their card? Anyway, so that looks like to be something. I'm going to make a prediction about what's going to happen on the broadcast front. I believe that other promotions, I think DAZN is going to start putting out free fights that are along the Pro Box level, where they're putting up talent. Maybe Turkey will do it along with them. I don't know who's going to co-sponsor these things, but it looks like that's the way to go to keep the sport alive. Is you gotta give people a chance to see up and comers, not just headlines all the time. And we see. I remember all those years. How I was me and my friends used to get together and just watch Tuesday night fights all the time, and just think it was the greatest thing in the world. I'd rather watch a good scrap than nothing at all. And certainly, I always like to feel like I'm in on a secret on the next up and coming fighter. You know, like I saw him when he was doing this. You know, and it keeps the sport alive. And I hope. But my prediction is that these other promotion companies will start putting on some free productions, just like in the same kind of spirit as Pro Box TV. That's my prediction for 2025. You guys are having a great time. It's a wonderful show. Thank you so much, BDA, for all you do. And I just wish all you guys hope your holidays were great, and just have a great New Year, guys. Okay.
Well, thank
anyway,
you.
God bless. Diaz Volta, and take care.
Right back at you, man. Thank you for your kind words, and hopefully you keep calling in 2025, and hopefully we get enough fights that make you want to keep calling in. So shout out to you, NPR, man. Thank you for your call. All right.
Later, man.
Take it easy, man. That was NPR right there. And yeah, man, I mean, it's I think like we were saying with the Zone, they did put on some free cards with that OTX tournament, because I think it was, you could watch it on the Zone and simultaneously watch it on YouTube. In fact, or maybe I'm wrong, but there was another fight I think that you could, the Latin card, whatever they had there with Zurdo Ramirez as the main event, that was simultaneously simulcast on YouTube, right? Or am I wrong, Source?
Yeah, of course they make the Mexicans work for free. You know what I mean?
Come on, for low wages.
No pay-per-view buys there, buddy. Not for none of them.
Hey, maybe they get rid of the Mexican fighters are going to start being replaced by Indian fighters. The way it's going in other sectors of the industry in the United States, maybe the Indians are going to be taking over. You never know.
What's that dude? Angel Garcia. You know, Danny Garcia. Is that what he's saying? I've been on this planet 45 years, and I never met an Indian that can fight.
I thought he said Pakistani. Yeah, but he might have been Indian too. I don't know, man.
Pakistani, there you go.
Yeah.
The same thing, right?
Well, he didn't say Pakistani. He said Pakistanian. That's what you call him. I ain't never seen a Pakistani that could box.
Pakistani.
Well, yeah, they're the guys from Pakistan. That old country, mysterious country like Tibet. We'll get another phone call here.
Well, they got somebody, right? They got Hamza. Oh, my bad. Go ahead.
No, yeah, you're right. They got Hamza. It's not Hamza, it's Hamza. Hamza Shidas. Let's go to another phone call here. Let's go to 805. Let's see if it's working out here. 805, you're on the air. 805, what's on your mind?
What the fuck?
That's Amok right there. Again, that's Amok right there.
No.
Wait, is that Black Chibi?
Yeah.
I mean, come on. No. Come on. Amok, are you there? Or he just calling? He just called in to do that. What the fuck? He's wasting valuable minutes, man. Just doing his. But you know what's funny about that? You know what's funny? Every time Chibi doesn't come by that often anymore. But every time he does come by, Amok isn't anywhere to be seen. So it's easy to make fun of a guy behind his back, but when he's there,
Are you saying that you've never seen them in the same room at the same time? Therefore,
no.
you don't know?
That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, no, yeah, that is what I'm saying, but not because what you're alluding to that they're the same person.
Oh, you think Amok is ducking Black Chibi?
What I'm saying is, Amok might be very weary of Chibi the way certain writers should be weary of Jamal the enforcer. That's what I'm saying. Listen, let's go.
Okay.
Let me read a buy me a coffee contribution from Official Scorecard Boxing, who I think his account got hacked. He says, "You better stop playing with my boy Glacier. Don't make me ask you twice, cause I won't be so nice." Oh, that's Jamal the enforcer. That's what he told. Warning us not to keep talking about him. Yeah, you can't say that Jamal the Enforcer's name. That's the other thing. It's got a magical property to it, like Baba Yaga.
It is what it is, BDA.
I mean, it just is what it is. That's his nick. Yeah, that's his trademark. You know, when he's about to whack somebody and they go, "No, please, no," he goes, "It is what it is," and he just blasts him. You know, the rumor is, I don't know if it's true. I heard Jamal the Enforcer used to be a family guy, but he's former military guy who had a family and everything. And then some dudes broke into his house while he was away on a special mission or something. And his family got killed, and the cops never did anything about it because of a technicality. And he ended up taking them out, and then he went underground. And ever since then, he enforces while staying running away from the law. That's what did you hear something like that, or is it just me?
No, I think I've heard the same thing. You know, I didn't want to say, I didn't want to be the one to put the business out there because I don't want him to enforce me. You know, but since it came out of your mouth, I mean, that's the word on the street.
It is what it is. That's what it is, man. That's what you before you know. It's not like in the movies, by the way. It's not cinematic. He doesn't come up to you slow motion and then starts blasting. Now he comes in from when you least expect it, and it's over quick. Got Tech 9 night. That's what it is.
I heard you roll up on dudes while they're taking a shit. Just blast.
Yeah, he blasts fools away, man, like it ain't no thing. All right, listen.
So he'll catch you in your most vulnerable moments.
Oh.
When you think you're safe.
When you're in the bathroom and stuff like that, you're saying?
Yeah.
I mean, I'd be very, very weary of them, man. Very indignant way of passing away. Like Elvis in the shitter. Here's another thing I wanted to talk about. This kind of old news, so I'm going to put a different slant on it, but you heard what happened, right, with Devin Haney? His, I don't know if it's wife, betrothed, significant other, whatever they want to call it. She used to go out with a rapper named...
I think it's his fiance.
Okay. And I think she used to be romantically aligned with a guy by the name of Young Thug? Is that who it is? Or am I confusing with somebody else?
Yeah. Yeah, that rapper from Atlanta. That I don't know. There's a video of them where he's locked up and she's crying and she's talking about, "I don't want anybody else but you," or whatever, whoop de whoop. And he just listening like, "All right, this bitch, you're gonna put some money in my books, or what? You gonna bring it?" You know, you're gonna slip it out and put it underneath the window slit for me, or what?
Yeah, so most people have seen that video where the woman is sort of fake crying. It seems she's still infatuated with the thug. You know, she's like a 15-year-old girl. And they say, I don't know if it's true or not, but apparently less than a year after that conversation she had with this guy who was behind bars, where she's telling him, "There's no one else like you. I don't want anyone else but you, blah, blah, blah." She ends up going out with Devin Haney. And people start making... What's that?
I said, "Ooh, and if that's the same girl, wasn't she like a high-end prostitute or something?"
That's the rumor that's coming out. That they call them Taz's Angels or something like that. And
yeah, that came out a while ago, BDA, when he was parading her around when he went to Saudi Arabia. They did like a little like a mock ceremony where they were like joined as one or something in Islam, and then people were putting out their information like that girl and her little sister. They were like you said, Taz's Angels. They're these, they're escort, they're working girls.
Whoa. Okay, so that's the type of girl that Haney goes out with. People say apparently that there was a rumor. People were saying that his father's...
that's old news.
Okay. But, well, I mean, it's news to me, first of all. And the fact that this conversation...
No, I'm saying, like, it's refreshing. It's coming back up now that she's coming with this, that she's obviously, interested in other dudes.
Yeah, but that's the worst thing is she's interested in thugs. She's infatuated with thugs. So, yeah, Haney has money and he gives her a lifestyle and all that, but the only one that can really get her pussy wet is a thug. Because these girls get the mentality of a 15-year-old girl.
And it's a weird kind of dude. This guy wears dresses.
Uh-huh. Like a little kid,
and
right?
And then his whole, and he'll be like wearing a dress in a music video or whatever. And I think he had people buying, like, they'll have people like buying these lyrics. He said something out. The reason why he had the dress on was because he had to hide he had like a rifle on him. So he had to hide it in the dress.
Oh. The fuck? Did he have a tail like Ammo Williams? Remember that when he went to the final press conference or whatever?
I wouldn't be surprised.
I mean, come on.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Well, I got to tell you, this is all surprising to me because I mean, this whole thing blowing up and so many people making a big deal out of it. Well, as always, Bill Haney, Devin Haney's father, had to come out to talk for his son and, in place of his son. And now, I don't know what happened. This dude used to have, the rumor was that he had a bunch of LDBC channels on his payroll. Now, maybe those guys want more money now. Maybe they're saying, because, hey, listen, man, we got to stay on the payroll. We got to be on we're going to be on, what do they call it, on retainer? No, yeah, but they want to be on retainer now, maybe. And Bill Haney can't afford that anymore because, his son's inactive now. So where's he going to get the money? So he says he wants to branch out. He put out a message on The Wire a couple of days ago saying, up-and-coming YouTube channels, hit me up. So evidently he still, because that's the thing that Bill Haney always did for the longest time. He would go on to his...
I'm going to hit him up.
Yeah, do so. Why not, man? Go ahead, man. I'd love to see him drop by the taqueria, see what happens. But, yeah, I mean, you guys know the story. You guys know the story. Bill Haney went on these LBC channels. He crafted narratives, and they worked because the audience wanted to believe what he was saying. They really wanted to believe that his son was being ducked by Lomachenko. Lomachenko was a bitch, he was ducking him, blah, blah, blah. And they believed it. For the longest time, they believed it. But now they seem to be in dire straits. I think that they're branching out to other YouTubers. The narratives ain't working. He tries to put out these narratives on Twitter, and people just keep... Every time I go on one of his new posts, it's people just reposting either AI images of Devin Haney with Diddy in a pool or him with his face down, ass up, and shit on his pants. So evidently, it's the room temperature. He's not reading the temperature anymore, the room temperature. He's getting it all wrong. People keep making fun of his son. And now this comes out, this whole thing with this Young Thug or whatever, his wife being infatuated with Young Thug. So Bill Haney is really trying to branch out. So I wanted to point something out here. There's still a lot of Bill Haney sycophants or Devin Haney sycophants out there. This is what he posted a couple of days ago. He said, I keep telling all you fake-ass content creators hiding behind aliases, stop acting like you ain't gossiping. If you was a real anything in real life, you have somebody pushing for you like I push. First of all, pushing like I push, I mean, that's, again, with the Diddy thing, is that what Diddy was doing for Devin Haney? Was he pushing? I mean, I don't know. So that sounded weird right off the bat.
They were pushing something, right? They're pushing something.
That's... he was pushing something brown, if you know what I mean, pushing something up there. And then he goes, no man can break up what we built together. We rolling, they trolling. So this is what gets me, Sobers. I'm used to this whole bunch of nonsense from Bill Haney, like this. It sounds good what he's saying, right? It sounds like, like chest thumping and all that, but it doesn't really say anything of substance. But what says even less of substance, these empty platitudes come from the people that are sucking his dick. And I think these got to be are either bots or they're his friends. Because check this out. Somebody goes, Bill, we live in an age where social media has given folks a false sense of security in that they believe everything they say will never have any consequences. You've done an amazing job raising a great kid. Most of these people were running around the neighborhood wondering who their dad was. First of all, this Andrew Tate-looking motherfucker says that, people say they can, people believe now that they can say anything without any consequences. Is he saying that people should be physically assaulted for saying things? Because that's a narrative, Sobers. That's a narrative that I often hear on Twitter. It's like, well, you wouldn't be saying that to my face. Why? So that means you can handle it? You're that quick off the cuff that if somebody says something that you can't handle, you fucking punch him in the face or worse, shoot him? What's that all about?
No, you can't control yourself. You an animal. Someone says something you don't want to hear. You're gonna lose your mind.
We know for a fact there's people like that in the YouTube boxing community. You just talk to them a little bit.
I've had a couple of people tell me that, if we were in person, you wouldn't say that. You'd be on the ground. I've had a couple of people tell me, I'm going to find you, dude. I'm like, all right.
Yeah, well, I've had that too. People saying they're going to chop my head off. First of all, if you're going to chop my head off, if you somehow manage to chop my head off, how are you going to carry it? I got a big brain, a lot of wisdom in there. So think twice about that. Second of all, yeah, this whole thing of this guy's trying to be wise. That's the thing that gets me. He's trying to be all wise. Like, Bill, these people, they don't understand. He's trying to be Jordan Peterson. And then he goes into the whole thing of consequences, physical consequences. So yeah, you're just an animal who can't handle, if somebody insults you, you got to clock him in the face. Now you're in jail. Was it worth it? Now you people tell you when to eat, when to shit, when you can work out. Nobody visits you anymore. I mean, is that worth it? Because you couldn't handle your feelings? I mean, come on. Then there's a couple of other comments that made me go, what is this? Oh, no, I didn't record. Fuck. Let me look it up because it's worth reading.
I think it's...
Yeah.
I was going to say, though, I think that Bill Haney might be reaching out because, that well at the LDBC is dried up. Like, I don't know if they're necessarily asking for more money, but they're in shambles. They're down bad. Who do they have left? Who's their fighter? Who's the guy that they're rallying behind right now? Because it was Wilder, and then what happened with Fury, and then it was Spence, then what happened with Crawford, and then it was Devin Haney, and Devin Haney was about to be their boy. That was about to be we're behind him, Haney, and then almost immediately Ryan Garcia beats the brakes off him, and that completely shut all that down.
It's a good point. Yeah,
I'm not hearing. I just don't think that I don't think the people are there anymore. Like they don't have the enthusiasm that that rah FBA shit has kind of been exposed.
Yeah, it's a different world. Definitely, man. He something's going on. The fact that he has to.
It ain't the 80s and the 90s no more.
Yeah, that's weird, man. Now I'm looking for that tweet because I found his tweet, but I'm looking for the comment. Don't tell me they erased it. Yeah, some guy replies.
Haney probably erased it. He said, "Hide."
Now somebody in their replied. Somebody in that because I found a tweet, but I'm looking for the reply that I wanted to read. Somebody goes, "They can't break us." It's like, who's us? Like these people that think they're part of Team Haney or something. There are people that are telling him that there was one comment that
break us for 400 years.
There's one where the guy goes, "You drank too much eggnog, Bill. Stay off Twitter." Another guy called him a pussy. Absolutely this. Somebody goes, absolutely this, Bill. Like, absolutely this. This guy's, he sounds like he should be running on Reddit or something. They would never say these things to your face or Devin's face. Cowards, all of them.
I hate that weird internet talk. It's like feminine.
When they go, this, so much this. I go, what
it's giving homo,
Yeah. Well, those are the people that follow Bill Haney, apparently. Somebody's telling him, shut your bitch ass up. Your son got his butt whooped fair and square, OG. Some guy goes, young thug broke up your family. Anyway, but I don't know why I can't find the one that I'd seen. He was one of the first ones. This guy was saying like, that's right, Bill. Let these haters hate. When you push, I push. When you pull, I pull. We in this together. And I said, who the fuck is... I wanted to find out more about this dude that left that comment, but it was so cringe. It was a bunch of empty platitudes. Like, when you push, I push. We do this thing together. The noise is nothing but noise or something like that. I go, what is this, man? Some real weirdos out there. I mean, the Tang fans are weirder, but these ones, the Devin Haney fans, they really rival when it comes to nonsense.
Are they Bill Haney fans or Devin Haney fans? I'm not even sure.
I don't know. I think they're bots, man. But I think the person who wrote that erased it. I think he realized how cringe it was. And he said, you know what?
Gotta protect my homie.
Yeah, and somebody says, thought you were undefeated in them streets and you got love in them streets. Yeah, he always says that, like, I got love in these streets. I got love. Well, apparently not, man. There's so many people hating on the guy. For every one positive comment, there's 5 others just putting up DD pictures. There's even one I can't show, but it's a book.
It looks like the streets. Well, I was gonna say, it looks like the streets got love for Devin Haney's girl.
Oh, you went there, huh, Sobers? You went there. I can't show these Sobers, but there's one where it's more than once, I bet. But there's one I can't show Sobers. It's a book. It's like, you know, those old-timey medical books where they got drawings instead of pictures, and they show pictures of vaginas, and somebody photoshopped a photo of Devin Haney on one of them. So, I mean, I wish I could show it. It's pretty funny. It's funnier than me describing it, but man, how much you want to bet Devin Haney cried after the Garcia fight to Bill Haney, and Bill Haney had to reassure him, like, everything's going to be fine, youngin. We're going to get through this. Is that too far-fetched, or?
I don't know.
He must have. I mean, listen, I'm pretty sure it can be easy. People like to say, oh, I don't care. Fundamentally, we all care a little bit about what people say. You know, if I read a negative comment, my first reaction is like, ugh. And then 2 seconds later, I go, wait a minute, it's just the internet. I'm conditioned to think that, like, it's just the internet. So, but a guy like Haney, you never know how he's handling this, especially so many people going after him. And then he probably thought he had a home run, right? When Garcia tested positive. And instead, people are clowning him harder now for that. Like, oh, you lost against a guy who was out of shape, who took some shitty PD to get to you. And I don't know if you saw this, but Victor Conte just came out and said, there's a report that people haven't read about Austrian, how it makes you faster, stronger. Maybe that explains why Ryan Garcia looked even faster and stronger than ever. And I go, he didn't look faster and stronger than ever. He looked out of shape. He gassed out after the 4th round. He barely won that Haney fight. He didn't even train properly, according to some rumors. Probably explains why he took the Austrian to lose the weight quickly. And he still whooped Devin Haney. I mean, whooped him in the sense that he left him injured.
I was just rewatching that fight the other day.
Was that?
I was just rewatching that fight the other day. I was just rewatching that fight the other day with Nightmare in the VC and I think Sargent. And there was like 3 or 4 rounds at a time where Garcia was just moving around, not doing anything. And then he would do one little explosion. He'd hurt Haney and start moving around again. He made that fight close because he was so out of shape. So I don't know why they think that they're saying this dude took Austrian to turn himself into a machine, because he didn't look like that. He only looked like a machine when he landed on this soft skull ass boxer and Devin Haney. You know what I mean? This weight bully. So he finally fights somebody his size, maybe close to your weight, and you're getting destroyed. That's not really got to do with the steroids. This guy, it's obvious this dude didn't train.
Exactly.
And the Austrian didn't even help because he couldn't even make weight. Austrian is used as a diuretic. Right, so he couldn't even make weight. So how much did it even fucking work? How much did he take? He obviously didn't use it properly.
That's the question. Now I know. I just want to clarify something because I know it sounds contradictory when I said Garcia barely beat him, and then later on I said, well, he whooped him. He whooped Haney. What I mean by that is he really did lay a physical beating on Haney. Haney's face was all puffed up. He got dropped 3 times. He got hurt twice at least that I remember in that fight. Apart from the knockdowns, and on top of that, he probably crapped his pants. So to me, that's a guy that got manhandled in the fight, and that was a guy like Sobers is saying, a guy who probably wasn't even that great a shape. In fact, right before the allegations came out, way before the PD test came out, Jimmy, the day after the Garcia Haney fight, when we did the post-fight show, he said Garcia looked in horrible shape. He looked flabby. I mean, not flabby, but he looked. He physically he didn't look in shape. He was tired after the 4th round. Even when he fought Tang Davis, where he got dropped and all that, you would have thought, oh, he would look more tired because, he would be hyperventilating from stress or something. He actually looked in shape until he got dropped. Whereas against Haney, he looked deflated after the 4 or 5 rounds. So that actually does.
He took rounds off at a time.
Exactly.
And he still look. So he dropped Haney about what? There's about 5 knockdowns, 6 knockdowns. I counted 3. And it still was a split decision. That's how that's how close he let it become because from his inactivity.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah. No, you're right, man. It's a weird fight, man. It was a weird event, and hopefully they do it again in 2025. But I'm very dubious of that happening next year, or even if first Haney has to come back, man. Forget a rematch. He has to come back first and fight somebody. Don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit the like. Let's go to a phone call here. Hopefully it's not Jamal the Enforcer. 336.
Stocks you can invest in that are less volatile.
336. You're on the air.
Less expensive.
336.
Yo, what's up, BDA? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, man. I heard you doing deals in the background.
All right, cool. Oh, no. I was talking to a friend of mine. Okay, sorry. It was just about seasonality in the stock market. Anyways, I want to talk about Usyk a little bit because I got to shout out Precise, Fight Film, and then Julio, a.k.a. Baby Daddy Julio, because they made some good points about Usyk. And as much of a fan as I am of like guys like Marciano, Joe Louis, and in particular, I want to bring this guy up, Joe Frazier. You got to remember, Joe Frazier was the third best fighter of his era behind Muhammad Ali and Foreman. And this guy is seen as like a top 10, 11, 12 heavyweight of all time. And aside of his one win against Ali, that was the first of their trilogy, he got beat by Ali in the second fight by UD and then got stopped by Ali in the third fight. He got knocked out by Foreman twice. Do most people know who his second best win of his career is? I mean, it can be a little bit debatable. I'm not going to include Bob Foster, who is an all-time great light heavyweight, a top 5, 6, 7 light heavyweight, but not a heavyweight at that time. Most likely it'd be Jimmy Ellis, right? He only had one title defense before losing to Joe Frazier in his first fight. He got beat again. You could add guys like Manuel Ramos, who you might have been around for because you are like 75 million years old, BDA. You might remember that guy.
Now, wait a minute.
He was a very popular Mexican contender. But when people look at guys like Joe Frazier as a top 10 heavyweight of all time, how could you not see Fury as such? Because even though he beat Wilder 3 times, who was overrated, beat Klitschko, but other comparable wins that would be compared to Jimmy Ellis would be like a Dillian White, right? You know, Dillian White's a decent fighter. Like he's a strong, i.e. domestic fighter or lower, well, I'd say like higher to lower end world level fighter. And even though we're not in the maybe seen as the best era of heavyweight as if it was in like the 2000s, you got to remember when you had guys like Foreman, Ali, and Frazier fighting, and then you had Joe Louis, stuff like that, Sonny Liston, Rocky Marciano. These guys were mostly fighting Americans because boxing wasn't global yet. Usyk's fighting in an era where Soviet Union fighters of all weight classes are able to compete in the pro ranks. So when people say Usyk's not an all-time great because of his low amount of fights at heavyweight, what makes someone like Joe Frazier and ATG hit the second best one of his career is a fucking Jimmy Ellis. Jimmy Ellis is no fucking Fury. And Fury's not some like infallible god as we've seen either. And then Bob Foster, you could say, is one of his best ones. That's a light heavyweight. So this whole notion that Usyk isn't a consensus top 6, 7, 8 heavyweight of all time, complete nonsense. And it's just Western bias, BLM, BML, American hate. That's what it is. If you don't have Usyk in your top 6, 7, 8 all time, you're a hater, bro. It is what it is. Like you hate the white man. Think about it. If this guy beats Dubois again, Dubois might beat Parker. If Dubois beats Parker, he'll be the consensus second best heavyweight on the planet in his prime on a 4-fight knockout streak. And Usyk has a good chance of fighting that guy in June or July of 2025. And these fucking Crips will still find a way to tell you fucking guys like Joe Louis, Muhammad Ali, Foreman are way better than him. It's ridiculous, man. Fucking this was an Amero bum era with only Americans fighting Americans. Boxing, especially in the heavyweight division, was not as global as it is now. Because a lot of the heavyweights were largely American. Because most Latinos, right, they're not quite as big as like these white guys or these Crip fighters. They're just not. So there's not as much competition there. They were fighting. So a lot of those guys, those like Duran and shit like that, a bunch of other fucking fighters I can name, they were fighting in the lower weight classes. But now we have a lot of these elite white fighters coming out of Eastern Europe and Central Asia fighting at heavyweight, and they don't want to give Usyk his fucking credit when he's beating the best fighters around the fucking world. He beat Glowacki in fucking Poland. He beat Huck in Germany. He beat Bradis in Latvia. He beat Bellew in the UK. He beat He beat Hunter in the United States, who a lot of people believe beat fucking what's his name, Povetkin, right? And he beat Bradis not Bradis, but who's the guy that just lost a close decision to Wallin? He fought him in Russia. Hard puncher. At cruiserweight. I can't think of his fucking name right now. Gassiev. He beat Gassiev in Russia. So how the fuck is Usyk not, with all that he did there, and then he beats fucking Usyk, he beats AJ twice, Fury twice,
language, man.
and potentially he might beat Dubois twice. How is he not a top 6, 7, 8 fighter of all time when you had a guy like Frazier who's seen as a top 10 heavyweight ever, and this guy's never had more than, 2 title defenses? It's nonsense. This is just fucking hate because he's white and he's great. That's all I had to say. See Kyle kill women, and I'm out.
No. Come on. Listen, man. Hold on. Let me just check. Is he still there? No, he hung up. Well, shout out to Dora for his call. I don't appreciate the salty language nor some of the denominations he has there for other races. But however, I will say that, by the way, Sobers, I don't know, when I took his call, he was like, oh, yeah, the stock, blah, blah, blah. How much you want to bet he wasn't talking to anybody? He took the phone away from his ear and was talking. He wanted to pretend or appear as if he was busy. Like, move my 50 shares of my Apple stock, and we're gonna sell them today. Yeah, okay, we're gonna make a couple of mil today. Yeah, okay. BDA, are you there? I'm sorry, I didn't know you were there. It's like, come on. You know why? I
didn't know I was calling in. I didn't know I was on the line.
It dialed by itself. I'm sorry. I must have pressed automatic dial or something. Yeah, but Before we continue on with this Bill Haney thing, we'll get back to that. But, Dora put us on to this subject. Did you follow some of that? It really got a bunch of people riled up when Tim Bradley said that Usyk isn't an all-time great heavyweight. Well, what did you make of that?
Bradley, I don't know if he's just being controversial or, he is kind of a hater. He just says some goofy things. He says goofy things by Inoue. So I don't know if he does it just to rile people up, but I do agree to a certain extent with Dora. A lot of boxing, in the 60s, the 50s, it was like an American racket. It's like how the American Football League is. Of course, Americans are the best at it. That's the only people who play it. So now in this environment, you got someone like Usyk who's fighting people from all over the world. He's not fighting the best guy in the United States. He's fighting the best guy from every country. So, we don't know how, great other fighters there could have been if more countries were allowed to compete back then, like they're doing today. And I think a lot of people try to say that Americans don't care about boxing no more because they're playing football, they're playing basketball. Basketball and football was a thing in the 60s, 70s, 80s. It was all popular back then, too. So I don't think that's a viable excuse today of why Americans aren't doing as well. I think it is that the reality is that the world's competing now. It's not American racket no more. I do think Usyk can go head-to-head with any heavyweight in history, and so can Fury, just off his size.
Yeah, Dora said that. Precise said that, and I remember when he used to come on here, he used to say that too. Like, and before we even started a channel, he was saying that Eastern European thing really set some people off and made them angry about the fact that they were now able to compete in the pro ranks and giving the Americans a run for their money or even surpass them. So, but I don't want to get racial too quickly here or right off the bat because
I'm not trying to either. But I was saying, like, if the whole entire world starts playing football, is the New England Patriots going to be the one with the best record still?
That's one of the benefits of globalization. It's not all bad. There is some good, and that is that the world is more interconnected now, thanks to satellite transmissions and portable phones, and now we got applications. We can watch more fights, and social media sites like YouTube or video sites. We can watch fights like this, same day across the world, whatever. And now it's also bringing together fighters via tournaments, the Sheik and all that. It's international. It's a more international sport, that's for sure. And it started being that way in the 2010s. But I want to stick to the whole Tim Bradley thing first. I don't know if he's racist. Yes, that's what some people are. That's what Dora alluded to. He says, he hates white people. I don't know if he does or not. Who am I to judge right now? I want to stick to the fact of what he said. He said Usyk is not an all-time great heavyweight. I think that's what he said. If that's true, I don't understand why some people got all bent out of shape. Like, no, yes, and I started crying and all that. Some people were borderline crying about it. Look, listen. Usyk beat the two best heavyweights of his era. So right off the bat, when you beat the best two guys of your era, you are the best of your era, and by definition, you're one of the best of all time because you dominated the era. Then you got to get into the nitty-gritty. Yeah, then you got to get into the nitty-gritty and say, well, okay, but who were these guys? You know, the context. Who else did he beat? How good were these guys that he beat? Blah, blah, blah. Tyson Fury, we knew, is a bit overrated. He beat Klitschko, but then he barely beat him. It's not like he schooled him. It's not like he took away the title via destructive knockout like Carlos Monzon against Benvenuti or something like that. It was a boring affair, one of the worst fights I've ever seen. Then he stayed idle for about 2.5 years. And then afterwards, his biggest wins were Wilder and Dylan White. So even the people picking Usyk to beat Fury were doing so because they were saying Fury is overrated. So at that point, you got to go, okay, then how good was the Fury win? I think it's still a very good win because he beat a guy that was way bigger than him, who's not just bigger, but has skills on top of that. Obviously not as many skills as he's obviously not as skilled as Usyk, but by virtue of the fact that he is skilled, combined with the fucking huge size and weight advantage he has, that made it a formidable win, an impressive win. And then that Joshua win too. Okay, yeah, Joshua, was he overrated a little bit too? Yeah, because they were trying to make it out to be the next Alex Lewis, and he wasn't that. But you ask Otto Wallin, you ask Povetkin, you ask Joseph Parker how easy it is to get past this guy's long-ass arms and the fact that he can hit like a truck. It's not that easy. Usyk beat him, and he didn't run away while doing so. He stood right in front of him and was even moving him back to certain spots. So to me, that is still one of the most impressive things I've ever seen. Usyk is perhaps the best fighter of the last 20 years. No, I'm exaggerating. It's like if you go back in the last 30 years, you have him, Mayweather, Pacquiao, and then you can find other guys too, like Chocolatito, Golovkin, Canelo, Crawford, Inoue. But to me, Usyk is...
He's a real generational talent.
He's a real generational talent. Thank you, Sobers, because I was prevaricating here, and that's right there. You cut through all the BS. That's what he is. He's a real generational talent. Now, the subject that I saw on social media later turned into, is Usyk an all-time great? And then it turned into, well, is he better than Ali? Now that to me, look, Ali, did he get some close decisions that went his way and blah, blah, blah? Yeah. But I think by virtue of the activity that he did end up beating almost every other contender, top contender that was out there, I think by virtue of that, I do think he's superior to Usyk as an all-time heavyweight. But if you ask me who would have won, skill-wise, between in the ring, actual combat between Ali and Usyk, I still think it's 50-50. The Usyk is that good that he can compete with anybody in the heavyweight division. Because he's not that small, he's not that short, he's got the right dimensions, and on top of that, he's incredibly quick and probably faster than most of the heavyweights. Yeah.
He has the same dimensions as Ali, doesn't he? That's what I see a lot. A lot of people compare it. A lot of people used to compare him to Ali. The same height, same length.
I think even the same birthday, right?
Now people are like, oh, it's unheard of. Don't you even mention them, that they could be in the same breath.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But that's the other thing is, look, Usyk's resume at heavyweight, what is it? 4 wins total over the top 2 guys in the division. It's pretty impressive right off the bat. He's got a win over a tough perennial contender in Derek Chisora. And then he's got a win over Daniel Dubois, which is, if you choose to do it this way, then you can give him a little bit of credit because that Dubois win is starting to age well. The fact that he beat an undefeated Hrgovic and then completely wiped the floor with Joshua, that's top 5, that's 5 good heavyweights right there. Solid heavyweights, all-time, best heavyweights of his era, some of them. That's a pretty solid resume right there.
Just a side note, he also beat up on Joe Joyce, but that wasn't really on his record, but they did go 8 rounds, and he completely handled him. And also, I would pick Derek Chisora. That guy would knock out Joe Frazier.
Maybe. I mean, Joe Frazier was...
I think so.
I mean, his best win was, like Dora said, Frazier's best win was Ali. And that wasn't even prime Ali. That was post exile, or what was it again? What's the word I'm looking for here? Suspension, whatever. Ali. Fat Ali. And he had to go to war with that dude for 15 rounds. And then afterwards, Joe Frazier wiped the floor with it. I mean, George Foreman. And so Frazier did, off the top of my head, I can remember Jerry Quarry, Oscar Bonavena, Jimmy Ellis, who Dora mentioned, Bob Foster, who was a light heavyweight. I mean, that to me isn't really all that. I mean, is that superior to Usyk? I mean, obviously that the Muhammad Ali win is legendary, but does one legendary win trump the fact that Usyk went in there at a size disadvantage and managed to beat the top two guys in his division and overcame those size disadvantages?
Well, when I look at it, it's like when you have this resume conversation, it's really hard to match him up because he did beat the best guys, but the body of work is not a career, heavyweight. So the same way that Evander Holyfield doesn't have the same body of work that these other guys have. They just can't compete in that sense with the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
But he beat the guys who he's going to beat, and he beat them all around the world. He beat them all on enemy turf, So with Fury, if you listen to the broadcasters and the promoters, they're all just, on their knees for him, dude. He's so great. He's going to come back, and we need him to win. You could tell who they wanted to win, and Usyk still beat him. That also has to count. When Ali was fighting, everybody, after a certain point, everybody wanted to win. People say everyone hated him, blah, blah, blah. But after a while, he was the darling, of the media, and he would get the I think Ken Norton beat him 3 times. I watched those fights. I think Ken Norton beat him, and they took the fight from him twice.
Now, this is an Ali that was...
And Usyk doesn't have those kind of situations.
Yeah, well, I mean, Usyk didn't have the support of the establishment because he was a Ukrainian guy that barely spoke English, so he didn't have the establishment behind him. Now, some people can say, "Well, how can you say Ali had the establishment when they sidelined him for about 3 years and almost sent him to jail?" There's a book, I gotta find the name, man, but it really dismissed and demystified a lot of these stories about Ali, about how there's some people still believe that Ali came from the inner city. And that he was, he had a hard life or whatever early. No, the guy was actually back where he was at in Miami. Later on, I think they had some sort of high school program for boxers, like similar to baseball and all that. So anyway, he was getting money, I think, because they saw that this dude was going to make it to the Olympics.
Look, I seen when I first got into boxing, I used to watch a lot of his little mini docs and stuff like that. He didn't grow up in the hood. There was how he grew up was kind of in the country, but he was taken care of. They kind of knew who he was, and they're like, "Oh, this kid's gonna be a boxer." Mm-hmm. So they were passing him around, like taking care of him, like he was getting looked out for. So they groomed him to be a champion, And I don't know if that's the right word, but you know what I mean.
Well, they're grooming in the non-dirty sense. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. So that's what it was. And then when people go like, "Why, he stood against the Vietnam War," because that's why a lot of white boomers love the guy, because they were when they were teenagers and idealists, they really loved that whole anti-Vietnam stance. Which I was against the Vietnam War as well, even though I had to go there. I was especially against it because I was there. No, I'm kidding. But anyway, the point is, they love that Ali took that stance, but then in the book, it goes into how the Nation of Islam are the ones that told him to say all those things about being anti-Vietnam. In fact, the famous line of, no NVA ever called me a Viet Cong or whatever. I mean, no NVA ever called me the N-word. They told him to say that. He didn't come up with it. So that book, I'm going to find the name. I'm going to find the name, but it really demystifies a lot of this Ali. And then Ali was really a distasteful character. He used to have a bunch of wives, children, cheat on his wives. The way he treated Joe Frazier after Joe Frazier helped him out financially during that exile or that suspension, long-ass suspension he had. He wasn't the nice guy that everyone looks at Ali like he was this nice guy because, he could be hard when he wanted to, as a boxer. He could stand true to his values going against Vietnam, but he was also like a nice guy, a clownish type of guy with the rhymes and everything. No, he was a bit of a distasteful fella. So anyway, that's all I want to say about that. That doesn't have anything to do really with the whole Usyk thing, but this whole discussion, Sobers, or Timothy Bradley's
BDA the racist.
Oh, come on. But yeah, Ali was a racist. If you put me in a room with Ali, you'll find out
he was openly. Yeah, he was openly against race mixing and stuff, right?
Absolutely, and he chose sides when Malcolm X.
That's a no-no.
When Malcolm X found out that the problem in the United States wasn't a race issue, but it was a class issue, and he got away from the Nation of Islam because also the guy Elijah Muhammad was a bit of he was a chomo. Ali chose sides and he chose the Nation of Islam. Now, later on, they said that I think he even came out and said, "Oh, I regret that decision." Yeah, only because now in hindsight, you look like an asshole. I mean, do you really regret it because it made you look bad, or do you regret it because you chose the wrong side? I don't know. We can't ask Ali that now, but whatever. The other thing I wanted to talk about, Sobers, is... Okay, so let's stay into this Usyk thing a little bit more, because I think it was D-Style who made this video. I don't know if it was him, but if it was him, shout out to him. And if it wasn't, shout out to whoever made it. Somebody
is that the one?
did-
Is that the guy who wears lipstick?
come on. What's the matter with you? This is somebody made a compilation video of Timothy Bradley's because again he's saying that Usyk beating Joshua and Fury is not all-time great status. Of course, he forgets to mention that Dubois and Chisora are also Usyk victims, but whatever. So let's hear what he has to say. What he had to say about Tyson Fury, and this is right after Tyson Fury knocked out Dylan White. Okay, so this is Tim Bradley talking about Tyson Fury, and I'm trying to find out how to play this.
Tyson Fury can compete, I believe, in any era of the heavyweight division, and I say that because one, his size, 6'9". We haven't seen a heavyweight that size before. Just as Mark alluded to, his skills. He can switch southpaw, he can orthodox, he can fight long, he can fight the inside, he has punching power, he's smarter than everybody, he's better than everybody on the mic.
Are you hearing this, Overs? He's saying he's better than everybody. So the guy that's dominating the division, a win over him, doesn't make you an all-time great. 2 wins over him doesn't make you an all-time great.
Besides Muhammad Ali, I mean, you can go back and you look at these guys. Muhammad Ali is about 6'3"-ish. George Foreman's about 6'3.5". I mean, he's bigger than all these guys, and they have to deal with all of those elements I just mentioned.
Think about
anybody.
Think about
anybody.
What we've seen.
Deal with. And I won't say that he is. I can say hypothetically.
Yes.
He is probably the best heavyweight.
In the hypothetical matchups, it's tough to think of a guy. But listen.
What's his name again? The commentator. Did you notice how that commentators? I mean, I can't show you the video because it's top rank. But when he was about to say, "I can say that he's the best," the other commentator, not Osuna, I forget the guy's name. He stopped him because he didn't. I think he was looking out for Tim Bradley, saying, "Don't say it." Joe
Tessitore.
I think it was Joe Tessitore. Yeah. I mean, some people could say, well, Bradley is being told to say this by the truck, by the ESPN production truck. Like, hey, really pump up Fury. But the fact that these other guys are stopping him leads me to believe that, this is all Bradley's own doing. What do you think about what he's saying so far?
He sounds like he needs to change his underwear.
Come on.
And secondly, if all that stuff's true about Fury, why can't it be true for Usyk? I mean, what's that make him, right?
Oh, great point. Very well said there, Overs.
So it's like these guys, they say things and they're being in the moment. He's just trying to, I guess, hype everybody up and everything. But you have to be consistent about what you're saying because, we listen. People are listening. We remember what these guys say, and when you start contradicting yourself, you start looking like an asshole.
Oh, especially when you're dealing with the archivist.
So even when I say crazy stuff in here, I still remember I got to be consistent with what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah. And that's the other thing is, that's very well said. Let me see if there's more here from this clip here. This Timothy Bradley after the Fury White fight singing Fury's praises.
He is probably the best heavyweight.
In the hypothetical matchups, it's tough to think of a guy. But listen, his
the best
resume.
Heavyweight of all time.
I mean, come on. He's saying it right there. The best heavyweight of all time. So beating him twice and beating Joshua, the next best guy in the division, twice as well. That doesn't make you for Bradley. That doesn't make him an all-time great.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe he has such a high opinion of Wilder. Well, no, because he's talking about him after Dillian White. So right. I'm having a hard time finding where to give him leeway here, dude. He just putting his foot in his mouth.
And you know what? There's two ways of going about it.
He just looks like a hypocrite.
There's two ways of going about this, Overs. As one, Bradley might be saying all of this because, again, he's working for Pro Box too. So maybe he's being purposely provocative in order to rile people up and get attention. Because unfortunately, that's the milieu in which we are right now. That's the environment, the media environment where ever since ESPN and Jim Rome and all Stephen A. Smith, they gotta be controversial, right? That's what they tell me. You gotta sell it. You gotta say something to stir up controversy. Maybe this is his way of doing it.
You know then what again, it is?
Go ahead. Yeah.
You know what it is?
Mm-hmm.
You know what it is? Because I'm thinking right here saying, okay, you're saying they could be in his earpiece, saying hype him up. But then Joe Tessitore is trying to kind of cut him off and trying to reel him in. And he starts over-talking Tessitore. He's like, no, let me finish. Best heavyweight ever, right? And you know what? He's starting to sound like, like he's just yapping the yap. He's starting to sound like Teddy Atlas. And didn't Teddy Atlas used to train him? Because I used to listen to Teddy Atlas, and I would hear, like, Teddy Atlas has great opinions. He has great points. But when you start hearing him consistently, the shit he says, you say, like, two things over and over. We got to change the boxing commission. And then he just, everything's just fucking, just mouth throw up. Firefighter bullshit. And everything's a hyperbole. And he's just trying to rile everybody up and just be loud. And that's why I see this guy Timothy Bradley could be doing now, because when you're not consistent, now you look like you just want to, rabble rouse.
That's a great point, man. That the Teddy Atlas connection. May I go somewhere a little bit more controversial, however? And again, I'm listen. I want to preface this by saying I'm not a physician. I'm not a mental health expert, whatever. Timothy Bradley's a guy that went through a major battle against not Povetkin, against Prodovnikov back in 2013. He said he doesn't remember parts of that fight. He said for days and weeks afterwards, he was slurring his words. There was some major brain trauma there. And that wasn't his last fight. Subsequently, he went to war against Pacquiao 2 more times. Juan Manuel Marquez, Jesse Vargas. I mean, he took more shots afterwards. This is a guy also who says he didn't shower in the build-up to fight so that he would stink in order to throw off his opponent. That to me, I mean, think about it. He doesn't wash. He's got mental trauma. He's saying crazy stuff now. Sobers, he sounds like a guy from the street, a derelict, a vagrant. Except he still has money and people just don't believe that he could be that. But isn't it possible that if you took all his money away, he would be a vagrant because of the mental trauma and the lack of hygiene and all that?
He'd be one of the smelly YouTubers that just screaming at his camera saying dumb shit,
Right.
With dirty dreads with mold inside of them, something like that.
Geez, Luis. I mean, you didn't have to go there, but yeah, man. I mean, so that's the whole thing there with Timothy Bradley. That's the whole thing with Timothy Bradley. He got a lot of people riled up. I don't usually give a shit if he wants to say Usyk's not an all-time great anything. I wouldn't give a shit. It's like, why are people so riled up about what he says? If he's saying, anybody can say, I can come out here and say Muhammad Ali was an all-time great. Okay, just move on. It's a crazy opinion, right? Just move on from it. Why are people so hung up on it and trying to, you know what I mean? It's like, I know, and I understand why. I'm saying that rhetorically, but it's just, I don't take what he says seriously when it comes to that statements like that. I don't think, I sort out the good comments.
Well, you can't anymore.
No, you still can. I mean, I can see, he still says interesting stuff. You just got to know how to sort out the eccentric Bradley stuff that's probably pushed and propelled by mental trauma from the actual, positive, not positive, but the actual substantial things he has to say.
And someone else he flip-flopped on the exact same way. Not the exact same way, but like I said, flip-flop. He used to think Shakur Stevenson was, this and that, and he would be gushing about him too. But as soon as Shakur Stevenson left a little mean tweet about him, he put a video talking about Giovanni Davis will knock you out. So.
Oh man, yeah, I'm telling you, man.
So it's like that. He flip flopped on him real quick too. As soon as someone said he didn't like something, he didn't like.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're right, man. You're absolutely right. He's a bit of all over the place. I don't think he understands what he wants. Well, listen. Let me end the phone calls here because we're gonna end the show real soon. So I might as well just end the phone lines right now. What I wanted to say is we still got a couple of things going here before we go. A couple of notes. Yes, unfortunately, and I probably should have mentioned this in the beginning, the Yoka versus Pumita Martinez fight was called off yesterday because Martinez fell ill. So what a bad end to the year, man. I mean, I was looking forward to Inoue versus Sam Goodman because I thought it was going to be an interesting fight. That fell through. Okay, we still got Ryan Garcia versus that kickboxer and Yoka Martinez. Then the Ryan Garcia fight falls apart. So we're left with one pillar sustaining the whole world. And then that comes, that gets, that goes out the window. And I go, oh boy. I mean, it was about, I think they're going to reschedule it.
Sucks?
What's that?
I would say because usually like around this time, like Christmas, New Year's, when everything's closed, the Chinese spots are still open, all the Asian spots, and that's how it is with boxing. You know what I mean? I got used to seeing Inoue fight at the end of the year and some of these other guys on New Year's because they're on a different calendar. They're not worried about that, so it's business as usual for them. And yeah, dude, I just wanted to sit down this Christmas and order some Chinese food and watch that Inoue fight, and now we can't, or not even Puma Nioka, or Ampo and Ryan. So like it's not right. It doesn't feel right.
Yeah,
they're supposed to be open during Christmas time.
Yeah, at least we know Inoue Goodman has been rescheduled for the end of January. So hopefully Martinez versus Ioka is rescheduled for next month as well. By the way, shout out to Jamal the Enforcer for his contribution via the Buy Me a Coffee. He says, be careful the next time you take a latrine break. Oh, he might be around the corner. He might be behind the wall like the Sheik. You never know, man. He's like the Sheik. He's hidden everywhere. The Sheik sees all.
No, yeah.
You're gonna turn around and sit down. You're gonna turn around and sit down, BDA. You're gonna sit right in his lap.
Well, listen, there's more news coming from the boxing world. Junto Nakatani, who's another dude that was part of the 3-time club, he fought 3 times this year. He's going to be taking on the very dangerous David Cuellar. The Cuellar out of Mexico. He's a big puncher. Hasn't really beaten that many top 10 guys, but he's not as short as some of the guys Nakatani's fought. Because, Nakatani's a giant compared to all these other dudes at 122. Cuellar is a little bit long himself, long-limbed. So it's going to be an interesting one. I think it takes more than power to beat Nakatani, but it should be interesting. And this one is set for February the 24th. So February looking like a fantastic year. After the ho-hum year, or end of the year we got here in 2024. Aegis Kilmas, one of Vasil Lomachenko's representatives, is saying he doesn't know if Vasil Lomachenko is going to return to the ring. He says he injured his back last year, or this year, rather, 2024, and that if he is healthy, we'll know about it in 2025. So, Sobers, it seems like the Lomachenko Express is coming to an end.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind it because it doesn't seem like he's really getting a fair shake in his closest fights. So, even if he does come back and he tries to fight on the world level again, I still see him getting robbed by these younger American fighters, unless he tries to fight in Riyadh. But if he injured his back, he's compromised. Just stay out the ring, dude. And I really, it's interesting. I remember when Usyk and Lomachenko first came on the scene. I think you've already said this. I'm sure a couple of people already said this, dude. But Usyk is really Lomachenko was the one that was being pushed. He had the big marketing push.
Right.
And Usyk really, came out from his shadow and it's completely, overshadowed Lomachenko's career now.
That's a good point, man. That's a great point. Yeah, because I remember when Usyk fought Michael Hunter, and he didn't, he struggled against Hunter, and Usyk, one of the things he does when one of the things he did at cruiserweight when he started struggling against guys, like against Brady's, for example, is he would put the guard up, or he did it against Bellew too. He would put the guard up and start fighting like Winky Wright, essentially just blocking everything and punching in between his opponent's offense until he tired them out. And that's what he did with Michael Hunter. And I remember looking at that and saying, Lomachenko in that time, he was Lomachenko. He was making everybody quit. And I remember thinking, hey, Lomachenko's the better fighter. I think he's a superior fighter, more mobile, quicker, more dominant. And like you said, in hindsight, it turned out to be Usyk's the one that ended up becoming the more accomplished fighter. I mean, that's not to say Lomachenko wasn't accomplished, but I mean, he did get some. He encountered some misfortune in the Lopez fight for being injured, and then the Devin Haney fight, just some outright controversy and conspiracy there. Corruption is what I'm trying to get at. So, yeah, man. I mean,
don't forget Salido.
Yes, well, Salido, another form of corruption right there. So people could say, oh, you're making an excuse for the guy. But I mean, didn't Salido come in overweight? Didn't he bang Lomachenko's balls throughout the fight? And it was still a competitive fight. So it's a shame that for Lomachenko, that's really going to be his consolation prize, which is that, yeah, there was a point where he was dominant. And then afterwards, the best you can say about him is that he never got dominated. No one ever managed to beat him decisively. But that, I mean, that's not what he wanted to hear, probably. So we'll see what happens with him. Let's see if he returns in 2025. A healthy Lomachenko is still good enough that the Lomachenko that beat Kambosos I'd still pick him over Tang Davis and Keyshawn Davis.
That's what exactly was That's what I was gonna say, BD. I was gonna say part of me still wants to see him fight Gervonta Davis because I still think if he's healthy, like you said, the one that fought Cambosos, I still think he could beat him. I still think he could beat Davis. I don't think that guy is not nearly what they try to crack him up to be.
Excuse me. Exactly. No, yeah, you're right, man. But no, you're right, man. But I mean, he only fought once last year, so who knows how he's gonna look coming back. The other thing I wanted to say was that, Jermel Charlo. You know, I gave him and his brother got the DB Cooper Award for where the fuck are they? They disappeared. Well, Jermel actually reappeared earlier this week when he said he's looking back. He's looking to return to the 154-pound division. He was a high-profile fight, no tune-up. He wants all that smoke. Is it a little bit too late for Charlo, who's about 33 now? He's Canelo's age, right? I think.
Yeah, he's a little bit younger than him.
Okay.
Maybe like a year or a couple months.
34.
So I don't think it's too late for him. I still would. I mean, it depends really how if he shows up in shape or not. You know, if they got him on that good sauce, if he joins Team Snack.
That's right.
I would still like to see him fight Crawford. I wouldn't mind that fight.
I mean, I think Charlo. I don't think he's gonna look good coming back because he's a bit of a guy. He relies on timing. Excuse me. He relies on timing to get that power across. So him being out of the ring since September 2023, let's say he comes back in March, that's almost a 2-year layoff. Well, not a 2-year layoff. That's like an 18 or something month layoff. He needs a tune-up. His style is necessitates tune-ups. So if he comes back against some of the killers that are on 154 right now, he's gonna get. It ain't gonna be good for him. I mean, even when he was in shape, he was struggling against guys. Remember, the Jason Rosario fight was about 50-50 going into the stoppage. Tony Harrison was beating him in the rematch. Castaño got robbed in the first fight. So this is a guy that's, even when he was 100%, he wasn't exactly wiping the division out. So, yeah, man, if he comes back, get him a tune-up. I know he's joing a lot now, like trying to tell the people, putting back on notice, but get a tune-up first. Get a tune-up.
Yeah, you're right. He just yapping because he was acting like he was going to fight Canelo and he ran away.
There you go.
The whole fight, so you're right.
There you go. That's a great example right there. And plus, how is that? Even if he does want a big profile fight right off the bat, who's going to get him that? The PBC? They got nothing going on right now.
Fuck it. Give him Fundora.
give him Tony Harrison. Make the trilogy It's the most anticipated trilogy right there.
Castaño's doing.
Yeah, exactly. What is Castaño doing? Call him back. Speaking of guys like another guy that we gave an award to earlier, the Did You Miss Him award. That's Demitrius Android. He says that David Morrell is not ready for Benavides, and that. He also said that, people are clowning me for losing to David Benavides, but you're clowning me essentially, he said, for doing what you wanted me to, which is to fight the best. He said younger guys should have been fighting him. Charlo should have fought him. I forget what other names he brought up. And I'm thinking, well, wait a minute. 35 is not that old, especially for a guy who's supposed to be this skilled like Demitrius Android. Everyone was saying he was a middleweight Whitaker, and he would have been Charlos, he would have been Canelo, he would have been Golovkin. At least he couldn't have gone a couple more rounds against Benavides before calling it quits.
Yeah, man, that guy right there, he's a fraud. His whole career has been like a joke. I remember, like, before Eddie Hearn got a hold of him, this dude was fighting off television for a while. So this dude was already fading into obscurity. Eddie Hearn saw him. He had a boner for these kind of fighters. These, Tevin Farmer, Devin Haney. Andrade, you get what I'm saying? Ammo Williams, he had a boner for these dudes, so he's trying to get as much as he could on his team, and he ended up just being just like every single one of them, just kind of like a dud. And this dude never really wanted to fight anybody. Now that you're at the end of the career, at the end of your career, and this is the only hope you have of making somewhat of your big. This is probably his biggest payday against David, and it's not going to be no more after that unless he won. So. you know, he eventually, you know, got cornered and had to take a fight at a weight class you probably shouldn't have been at against an opponent that was favored against you. You know, if he'd taken other fights, you know, he could have been in more 50-50 fights. He could have had a little more respect and maybe not got his ass blown out the ring like that.
Right.
So,
you know, I mean,
think that he's always been a fraud.
I think he could have beaten the Charlo brothers because Austin Trout made some of them look bad, and oh man, what was his name? The Russian guy that beat Uskategui, Kubarov, Kubarov or something. Kovarov, thank you, Kovarov. I thought he beat Jermel Charlo. Excuse me, Jermel. He beat Jermel Charlo back in 2018. So maybe Android could have done something different. But I do think Kovarov's technique was tighter than Android. Android was a little bit of a slapper. So even then, I'm not sure if he would have been one of the Charlos. But I would have definitely picked Golovkin and Canelo to beat him. Especially 2019 Canelo. He would have Billy Joe Saunders him. Probably made him quit in the later rounds. I'm talking about Canelo. He would have made Android quit. Whereas I think Golovkin would have straight up just floored him a bunch of times.
No. According to Paulie, in his prime, Demitrius Android would beat your favorite fighter's ass. He would beat your favorite fighter's ass in his prime.
You get the good impersonations. You did that Rick Glacier impersonation, and then now you got the Paulie Malignaggi. That's a good one, man.
I guess when I'm saying ass, get off my ass.
Get off my ass. But yeah, Android. Yeah, and by the way, I remember some caller was trying to give me flack when I was saying that Android quit, and he's like, "Well, you don't know what he was going through. What if he was cut, or what if he has a broken something? What happened with that? He didn't have that broken anything. He just quit because he had enough. Just pay me my money, and I'm out of here."
I heard he had broken hymen.
Yeah, he scratched up his labia.
That's the only thing that broke. Yeah, that's the only thing that broke that night is hymen.
He had an infection, so he had to go to the pharmacy straight off, right off the bat. But you know, you mentioned all these guys that Eddie Hearn was obsessed with. You know, Dora brought up Precise. I remember we used to say that actually before we started our channel, I think he used to call them Ameribums. And the reasoning was that, look, you got all these American fighters calling European fighters Eurobums. So what happens then if you take these overhyped Americans who never actually reached the ceiling that had been set for them? By definition, shouldn't we also call him Ameribums? And that really got some people riled up. But it's true. I mean, if you're going to call Eurobums, they're Eurobums because they're overhyped European fighters, then let's start doing that with American fighters as well. And it was true.
That actually happened. That happened to another fighter on the zone too, BDA, Khalil Ko.
Oh, who was that guy?
He was a highly touted guy. He was one of these guys that he was a guy that they were hyping up. You know, he was going to be the next guy. They put him in there with an ex-opponent of Diego Pacheco. Someone Pacheco knocked out. And this guy went to try to go to war with this Mexican Gallegos. And he got tore the fuck up. Exposed.
See, that's one of the things I like about that. That's another one of those events that went under the radar in 2024. That's a good one right there. What was the name of the guy, the American?
Khalil Ko.
Was this in Puerto Rico on the Hitchens Paro thing, or?
I think this was a fight. It was the same card that Keyshawn Davis. No. That's Top Rank. I'm tripping. I don't know what card this was.
Khalil, I'm looking it up. Khalil Cole versus Gerardo Osuna. No, that was in February.
Manuel Gallegos.
Gallegos, yeah. You turn left on the Gallo. When was this? Khalil Cole versus Manuel Gallegos. They're not showing it. They don't show it on YouTube.
And I think another American prospect got upset on that card too.
It's in November. Yeah, it was in November. Okay, Philadelphia. What happened in Philadelphia that day? Let me look.
That might have been Boots' card with Kuchkezian.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. You're probably right. All right. Yeah, I'm gonna check that out. I forgot that one flew under my radar.
Oh, Jalil Hackett. That's the other American that got. I think he took an L that same night.
Interesting.
So a lot of these guys, you know, like they're getting exposed. They're fighting on terms where it's even. It's not favorable for them, and they're not measuring up. So the term Ameribum would apply. to a lot of these dudes.
You know, it's interesting you brought up Jaron Ennis. That's a guy that I'm not going to say he's a mirror bomb because I do think he's good, but I think this year we found out that he was definitely being overrated by a lot of people. Because, you know, it's easy to say, like, if let's say you and I overrate somebody, right? Somebody could then look at that fighter and go, oh, he's being overrated. Yeah, but it's only two people overrating him. In this scenario with Jaron Ennis, you had members of the media overrating him. You had other fighters overrating him. You had the fans overrating him. There was a lot of overrating going on. And it was a weird year for Jaron Ennis. That was another, he deserves some kind of award. Maybe the fastest turnover award or something, because he went from being the next pound for pound king, according to Ring Magazine, to all of a sudden him actually, you know, outright ducking fights.
Who's that dude that got beat up by the Welshman? That's from the United States.
The dude that got beat up by the
They're
Welshman.
calling him like the little Mike Tyson.
The guy that beat
Kawasaki.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, you Jeff Lacey.
Yeah, Jeff Lacey. I want to give Jaron Ennis the future Jeff Lacey Award.
No. I think he's better than Jeff Lacey.
That's what I'm comparing him to.
No. He's better than Jeff Lacey. He's better than Jeff. Well, I mean, but I get what you're saying, yo. Yeah. You know what? Adrian Broner, I remember when we used to have this conversation on Open Lines Friday about when, you know, people were saying, oh, you know, some people were saying, yeah, Ennis is going to be the generational talent, blah, blah, blah. And I was saying, he's looking like what Adrian Broner was back when he was still with Golden Boy and with and HBO. Like, he was looking like that too, you know, fighting at super featherweight, these overmatched guys, smaller guys. Yeah, he was looking fantastic. Then he started fighting guys his own size or a little bit better. And all of a sudden, he got Broner did end up getting exposed later on. But remember, people have to. I forget that this was, 11 years ago. But Adrian Broner was really being lauded as the next best pound for pound guy in the world. Remember, people used to say he's Mayweather with power. That's what people call him. He's Mayweather. Like, people used to describe him like that to the casual fans.
He believes. No, I'm sorry, BD. I cut you up. Go ahead.
I think we're on a big delay. No, but go ahead.
I was saying, I remember seeing this dude. I remember seeing his rise and his fall, because I remember the first time I seen him fight, I think it was this guy named Jason Litzow. And it was like at 126, and he blew through that guy. Like, he just fucking destroyed him. And I was like, damn, this guy, you know, I'm going to keep my eye on him. And then there was, you know, he had the fight with Ponce de Leon. People were saying he kind of got a gift. And then, you know, there was whispers of him fighting Yuriorkis Gamboa. And then right before that fight should have happened, he jumps up weight classes and he wants to go to 35. He beats that champion there. That's probably the best win of his career. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but
DeMarco.
He knocked out Jorge Linares. He was a Mexican dude. Yeah, DeMarco. That's probably his best win of his career, because he knocked him out in one round. He just put him in the corner and beat his ass. And then around that point, you know, I remember people interviewing him, and they're like, "Oh yeah, man, you think you could see yourself fighting Floyd one day?" And I could tell that he was so, sniffing his own farts at the time. He was like, yeah, man, I wouldn't want to be the first person to give him his first loss. I wouldn't want to do that to him. I don't think we'd ever fight, and blah, blah, blah. You know, like, what a joke, bro. Imagine if they did fight.
Mayweather would have wiped the floor on box Broner.
Yeah, it would have been a joke. It would have been he would have beat him up like he did. What's the other guy's name? Andre Berto. It would look like that.
There you go. Yeah, similar to that. Yeah, similar styles. But Broner was, he was the ultimate American because he was overhyped. By the way, shout out to Chris K, aka Undercover Asian, for his contribution with the Buy Me a Coffee. He says, 2 big Japanese New Year's events canceled, Inoue and Ioka. Boxing ends on a whimper. But it should start strong next year, he says, with Buttery Beef versus B-Ball rematch. Anything else big next year? Are we finally going to get Triple G versus Canelo 4? King Bucho, Mr. BDA, ha ha ha. What are you looking forward to in 2025? Well, I'm glad you asked that question, because like I said, I want to see more of some obscure guys like Martin Bakoli, Murtazaliev, what was the name of that Cuello, the Argentinian guy that I brought up. I'm excited to see if he fights more than once this year, next year rather, because he only fought once this year. I want to see more from Angelo Leo, and I want to see if they use Suleiman Sagawa again, if they call him up. Also, I want to see Sugar Nunez fight, the guy that Sobers brought up. In terms of big fights, you know what, man? I know there's a lot of Canelo fans out there, and people think I'm a Canelo fan because I dare to call out the fact that he's not avoiding Benavides, and I'm basing all of this on the facts that are available to us. So people tend to say, oh, this is a Canelo channel. But I did call out that the you know, whether you want to think I'm a Canelo fan or not, I did call out the fact that this year for him was a very so-so year. I know people don't want to hear that, some people, but hey, okay, he fought 2 undefeated guys. He did what he had to. But Munguia and what's his name? Berlanga didn't exactly whet my appetite. So I hopefully next year, there's not much for him. I mean, what's he going to do? Mbili? He doesn't have to fight Benavides anymore because Benavides is a 175. And Benavides claims he wants the winner of Betv Bivol. So how's that going to fit in the schedule? So what does Canelo have? Mbili? Crawford? That's the only thing that could actually whet my appetite. And Sobers, I know you have something to say about that fight.
Yeah, the only fight that really should happen, it should be Crawford. And that fight has to happen immediately. So that's really the only fight that I would, say that I want to see fight. It has to happen next, in May. But as far as what the other guys that Canelo could fight at 168, there's Mbili, right? Because he was supposed to fight Pacheco, then he got freed up because Pacheco's fighting Steve Nelson now. And unless Canelo wants to fight, try to go undisputed and fight William Skull. I think he fought Berlanga because he didn't want to fight William Skull. So unless he wants to double up on the undisputed run and try to fight that guy, and then he could even go even further and say, I'm going to be the first guy with 5 belts in the 5-belt era undisputed. He could fight Ocelis Iglesias, another Cuban dude who has I think it's the IBO. And he can just go for that. But other than that, yeah, the slim pickings, dude.
No, it is. I mean, it's Crawford, I think, is the only sensible option if they really want to capture the public's imagination.
Make some money.
Make some money and maybe break some hearts, too. Because someone's getting one side of these guys' fans, one faction is getting their hearts broken. So we'll see what happens with that. Hopefully Canelo in a big fight, because that's really what we need. We need a big event. I mean, this year we had the fights that we wanted to see, like Betv Bivol, Fury Usyk, 1 and 2. Joshua Dubois was a major event too, but we need the Canelo. We need the star to actually put something on that's actually gonna, because again, like I was saying, in the build-up to the Berlanga Munguia fight, I wasn't all that excited. I managed to work myself up into a little interest of saying, well, what if Munguia catches him, or what if Berlanga catches him? But no, man, I wasn't looking forward to it that much. Same thing for Inoue. Listen, we forgot to talk about Inoue. I want to see Inoue if he beats Goodman, which is not a given. I want to see him against MJ. Because again, that's Eddie Hearn going around now saying Inoue is avoiding MJ, whatever. Fight MJ. It's the last stepping stone at 122, and then maybe him against Nakatani. And Bam Rodriguez, I want to see.
No.
What's that?
No. He beats MJ and he moves up. Carrington, 126.
yeah, that's the one you want to see. Yeah, and it's doable because Shushu is with Top Rank, right?
Yeah, and he was actually they've already talked about the fight. Anyway, was, in talks to going up to 126. And that's what Bob Arum, that's the fighter he was going to give him. I'm telling you, he was ready to sacrifice Carrington to the Japanese god, in a way.
And maybe Shushu Carrington is, even though it's maybe a little too soon, maybe he takes it because he needs the money. Didn't he bet Jake Paul that Paul was going to lose to Tyson or something?
Yeah, and his eyes were popping out of his head too. That was a weird ass moment.
Yeah, that was he was on something, I think, but or he looked like he was on something. But yeah, maybe he needs the money now. Maybe he'll take that risk against Inoue. Speaking of Paul, aren't they saying that the other Paul, what's his name? Nate Paul? No, what's his name?
Logan Paul.
Logan Paul, yeah. They're saying he's going to fight McGregor?
Really? That would be ridiculous. The size difference would be... I mean, he fought Floyd, so I guess it wouldn't be that much of a size difference as that was. But I don't really see the appeal in that fight. Logan Paul doesn't do anything in boxing, really. He had that fight. I think his last fight was with who? The KSI guy? And that was... Oh, no. It was Dylan Dennis. And that fight got a lot of traction because of, Logan Paul's girlfriend being like Devin Haney's girl, like just passed around the industry, and that that got a lot of traction for it, and everyone wanted to see. Nobody liked Dylan Dennis. If you're like an MMA fan, this guy's kind of a joke, and people don't like him. A lot of people don't like him, and people wanted to see Logan Paul beat him up, for the community and for his wife. Like, dude, you got to get this bag. The dude's clowning you about your lady. And he got in there, and they didn't do anything. It was a joke. It was a joke. It wasn't even an amateur bout. It was like a clinch fest. It was terrible. So I don't know if he can fool everyone again with the McGregor fight. But maybe McGregor could sell it. I would rather see Jake Paul versus Conor McGregor. That'd be more interesting because they would both sell that.
Remains to be seen.
Logan
man.
Paul, it doesn't make any sense.
Hey, by the way, before we go, I gotta create a new group. So I'm gonna have to leave this group, and you're gonna have to join the new one. All right.
All right.
Oh no, actually no. Forget what I said. No, yeah, I thought he was gonna have to create a new group. All right, I'm calling recognize.
Oh, you're trying to play me. You're trying to get me to leave.
I mean, listen. I wouldn't mess with you. I know you got Jamal the Enforcer on your side. Hey, we got Recognize jumping in here. Recognize.
Hello. What's up, bro?
Listen, we're almost
Hey.
done here. Recognize we're almost done here because we're about the 3.5 hour mark. But I just, 2024 was an interesting year. What do you want to see next year? What's your wish list or whatever?
I'm gonna write my wish list out to Turkey Al Sheikh. I'm gonna save that as a surprise.
Make sure he gets done, is what you're saying.
Yeah, because he's the only one right now.
But I mean, is there one fight in particular that you go, man? Because this year we pretty much got it done. Whatever the best fighters of this generation fought. I mean, Bivol, Beterbiev, Fury, Usyk. Before that, we had Crawford versus Spence. We had Inoue versus Fulton. I mean, well, what else do you want to see next year?
Canelo and Benavides, man. Let's get that shit over with. I mean, assuming
No.
assuming that Benavides is the real deal, we'll find out, right? Like, he's gonna fight Morrell. Let's see if he's that guy. Not that Morrell's huge litmus test, but like if he beats him in like pretty emphatic fashion, he beats him up pretty easy. I wouldn't mind seeing that. If he's willing to go back down, I guess, and make that fight happen where it's more, there's more meaning to it.
Mm-hmm.
But outside of that, maybe let me see. I don't know, man. I feel like 2024 took care. I would like to see Tank fight somebody that is hydrated and fully healthy. I would like to see that. Typically somebody around his size.
Mm-hmm.
We need a name.
Yeah, we need names.
I would like to see him fight Teofimo.
Oh yeah.
Lopez.
Yeah, Teofimo Lopez.
That's the fight I want to see.
I went more in depth about Teofimo Lopez's year 2024 in a free Patreon video. So make sure to sign up to Patreon and watch that video there, just to remind people. But yeah, that's a good one. Thank Davis, Teofimo Lopez. But I mean, probably never going to happen.
No, I don't think that's going to happen. There's a lot of fights I want to see happen. I would like to see Crawford challenge himself at 154 because the Canelo fight, I just look at it as a cash out fight for him. Crawford, it's just a cash out fight.
I disagree.
I don't think he thinks he could. Like, he'll say that publicly, but I don't think he feels that he could beat Canelo.
Recognize
at 168, or let's say catch weight of 165. I don't think he could do either one.
That is the best. This is the fight between the two best guys of their generation for all the marbles. That's the fight I want to see now. Forget the Benavides. He's moved up to 175. How the fuck is he gonna make 168? And if Canelo moves up to fight him, why would Canelo just move up to fight that dude who has no titles, no nothing? So Crawford, say it with me.
Yeah,
Canelo Crawford. The other thing I want to bring up to you real quick is, did you know who Rick Glacier is, right?
Oh, of course, yeah.
Okay, okay. So there's another writer. Well, there's another boxing personality, media personality called Keith Idec. He started going at it with Rick Glacier, really going after him. Now, Glacier has been convalescent for the past couple of days because apparently he was sick. So he wasn't as vociferous as he usually is on Twitter. So Keith Idec said he was going after Rick Glacier for a couple of days, saying he was going to expose him. He was going to expose his ties to Golden Boy and how Golden Boy just throws crumbs at him. He's a lapdog. And then Keith Idec said that he was contacted earlier today in the morning by somebody who described himself as Jamal the Enforcer, who told him in no uncertain terms, you better lay off Rick Glacier or it's not going to end well for you. Now, have you ever, because you're well connected and all that, you've been around, have you ever heard of Jamal the Enforcer?
I feel like there's a few of those, like in a lot of urban cities, let's just say. So I might have heard of him. It might be a different Jamal. I'm pretty sure I've heard of a Jamal the Enforcer somewhere out in New York, Jersey, Philly. I feel like definitely I've had to have like heard that name at least once.
Would it be?
It might be a different one.
Would it be too much to ask? And I hate asking favors, but would it be too much of a hassle for you to get into contact with 100% X? Maybe get him to make some calls or something, see if he knows who Jamal the Enforcer is.
I found out he came out of prison. So, he doesn't talk to me anymore.
Oh.
He blames me for a lot of... Yeah. So, you know how
he blames you for... What the fuck? Why would he blame you?
I don't know. He just blames me for everything. It's like,
Oh, man.
That I sabotaged the relationship between you and him.
Nah, come on.
That he's like, he had something.
What relationship?
Yeah, like
what relationship? What's he talking about?
That's what I said. I said, what relationship?
What relationship, BDA indeed?
Yeah,
no,
that's not like that.
Friendship. They're sobers. Don't get into that dirty mindset right off the bat, man. Come on now. But right, okay.
Jamal the Enforcer's in the chat right now.
Yeah, he says
But I have a feeling that I could get in contact with X. First of all, we need to come to it. Me and X need to come to a truce of some sorts. You know what I'm saying? And then I can speak to him, and he could probably find out who this Jamal I'm pretty sure he will find out who this guy is.
Yeah, we got to get to them, man. By the way, we got Jamal the Enforcer in the chat. He says, "Recognize knows it is what it is." Yeah, that's his catchphrase, rather. It is what it is.
Yeah, I don't like that. It is what it is thing. I get scared when people use that.
I mean, what are you going to do? You're going to go against Jamal the Enforcer? You're going to talk back to him?
Well, I mean, listen, if I have to defend myself, then I got to defend myself. But, I don't want no problems with Jamal.
All right. Well, listen, that's about it for that. I'm glad we cleared that up. We got to go. We've been on for 3.5 hours. But shout out to everybody who joined us. Right, everybody who called in, everybody who donated via the Buy Me a Coffee, and shout out to everybody in the chat. Again, I can't say it enough. Shout out to all of you guys for being part of the BDA community for another year. It was a fantastic one, if you ask me. We had a lot of big fights. It was quite fun hanging out with you guys, sobers and recognized as well. Good to have you guys on board as always. If Jimmy and Gonzalo and Chief and some other people were here, I'd say the same thing. I'm glad to have you guys on board. This is coming from me and Bucho, the progenitors of this channel, and it wouldn't be the same without you guys. It would not be the same without you. I've said it before. I'll keep saying it until my face turns purple. And it's true, man. We got a fantastic thing going here. And shout out to everybody else out there in the chat. I mean, you guys, you're not obligated to donate anything, and yet you do. You pay with your, you put your money with your mouth. You enjoy the show, you enjoy the community, and you help us stay afloat with the phone calls, the phone lines, the things that we got to pay for in terms of Spreaker so that we can then be on Spotify and iTunes. That takes money too. I'm constantly trying to, I don't know why it happened today. The internet was doing fine for the last 5 weeks, and then all of a sudden we hit a skid mark, or a skid, again. So we're going to be looking to fix that with the funds that you guys provide us. Hey, like I said, sign up for Patreon. Free. It's for free, and you get extra videos over there. That I'm gonna be posting a Harold Graham versus Mike McCollum video, as well as other videos, current videos about current fighters. I'm working on a Keyshawn Davis-Dennis Berenchik fight because I don't know how that one's gonna go. I suspect Keyshawn Davis might eke it out or maybe even stomp Berenchik with one shot. and then just a follow-up barrage that takes him out. But we'll see what happens, man. So check out the Patreon for free. You can sign up, and it really helps us out. Happy New Year if I don't talk to any of you until the next, until the day after tomorrow. So shout out to you, fellas. Shout out to Baron Evola, Double L, of Champy, Alfredo Contreras, Hawker Mustang, J.A., The Quags, Dark Hado, Protectorate General. Who else? I'm going to make an extra effort today to read all the names because it's a new year, or almost new year. Mark T, Exponer, Aiduna, Ireland, Isaac Bermudez. Who else we got here? Chet Collins, shout out to him. Phil Miles, Team Batman Boxing, 2 Matador. LT in the house. Shout out to LT as well. Knockout Ned. If I forgot anybody, Knockout Ned, shout out to him. I think Rapax Rocking Company was here earlier as well. Shout out to him. 10-4. Sigma Human, Quentin Lassiter, Quick Slot. And if I forgot anybody, fellas, it's because we got to go. But Happy New Year. Hope you enjoyed the year. Hope you enjoyed the show. Gypsy Style. Shout out to Gypsy Boxing Style. Shout out to him. Always good to see him on board. And we'll catch you in the next one, fellas. Take it easy.
It's good to see that Gypsy didn't. It's good to see that Gypsy's out of his depression after Usyk beat
come on.
his hero. I'm just saying. It's good to see him in the chat.
There you go. He's back. He's back and moving around like a shark. All right, shout out to you fellas. Take it easy. Thanks for watching. Whoa. Hey, where's my music?
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend you.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I kiss you on the mouth.
No, I'm not cool with that. I'm sorry.
One more time.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I mean, I'm dealing with degenerate animals.
I'm disappointed in everyone. Disappointed in everyone.
All right, come on.
Honestly, I can't do it, man.
I'm disappointed in everyone.
Then let me tell you why.
It's gonna be all right, Nicky. Go ahead, shoot.
He's just killed a little fucking man.
What are you going to do about it?
You're happy because you got nothing. You don't got a thing. You're happy because you got nothing. Lomito! Got nothing.
I want to get out. I want to get out of this rat hole. I want to get online. I need